tariff adjustment in September, it rose to 400,000. And now, between October and November, it rose about 920,000 in a single month. Meaning, the traders are consuming more power in the market. Whereas when the management is sharing the bills, still, they give us the same points. This has resulted because we are using 1 meter in the market. The high bills that the management gives to the traders is making people close their shops. Many people are closing up their shop because they cannot continue to pay the high cost of electricity bills. Whereas when the person, he or she is having she or an individual meter, she can manage the credit he or she buys per month. But here's the case, of the 7,203 shops, we are all hooked to 1 meter. If we come to the restaurant section, because those operate at the canteen areas and other places, some are paying as much as 2,500 cedis a month, some are paying 1,700 cedis a month, some are paying 1,200 cedis a month. So if the person makes all the calculations and realizes that she is running at a loss, then she falls under closer pressure.
We can now go to the streets of Accra and speak with a cross-section of the public on what they make of the recent increase in tariffs.
The base pay was to help us with our already debilitating financial crisis. So if you increase water in addition to what we are already suffering, then it means that there was no reason increasing our base pay. I mean, the government should look at that for us.
Madam, where I am, sometimes you look my leg, I walk sometimes, you know, I buy pure water when you came here. Only 1 pure water I bought to. And 1 is not sufficient for me. But because of the increment and what is going on, you have to buy 1 pure water, you drink and you make reserve. I never see it before. I never done it before. I drink 1 sachet of pure water and then the reserve, I keep it, hold it like going like a mad person. I never do it, but look where we are now. But firstly, we have to do some things that to help us to, in fact, to go forward. If government can come down and sit down and then do something for what is going on, it will help.
For instance, I have to do anything possible to, pay the bills and then know how to manage my people too.
Thank you for talking to us.
Oh, it makes me feel too bad. Yes, we're in the country and then every time suffering. How can you pay? And the water doesn't flow regularly. The same thing is light. Light with the same thing. And now look at the system, even to eat, it's a problem. So I feel very bad. Yes. Well, we manage, but the government is not listening to people. So we just keep to ourselves like that. It doesn't listen to people.
Member of Parliament for Asin Central Kennedy Japan has announced his intentions to run for the NPP flag bearership when it's opened. Mr. Japan made his intention known during a tour to the Upper West region.
For welcoming me this morning. Let me officially announce to you that I'm contesting. And I'm a Walla boy.
My colleague Rafiq Salam has joined us live with more on this. Rafiq, how has Kennedy Japan been convincing the people there to vote for him to become flag bearer?
Japan touched down some 40 minutes ago at the airport and then headed straight to his office. He's having a campaign office along the insurance road, where he duly inaugurated that particular office and then rolled out of that place to the Airports Regional Coordinating Council, where he's currently speaking with the Airports Regional Minister. But Aisha, the campaign message from Kennedy Japan has to deal with the issues or the challenges that the North is currently grappling with. He talks about the agriculture, and he's saying that there's so much backland in the northern belt of the country, and then if that political place is irrigated, it will help the people. And so he's saying that what he wants to concentrate on is that if he be given that opportunity, he will develop the northern Gulf of the country. So he's been speaking with party supporters right here in the capital of the Upper Region. But he say after all these things, after his meeting with the Upper Region minister, he's going to go to the Water and Canal Institute, where he's going to donate some equipment to the school, and that is scheduled for 3 p.m.
Rafiq Salam is our correspondent in the Upper West region. We'll definitely bring you more on this. But access to clean drinking water in Ghana has improved, but many communities are still in need of clean water sources. 15-year-old Stephen Boache has developed a prototype system to help households purify their water using basic materials. He's one of the ambassadors for the Ghana Science and Tech Explorer Prize initiative, which aims to equip junior high school students with practical STEM skills to solve societal problems. Joy Prime's Lois Adeyemi has more in this report.
Bensiri, a village in the district of the Ashanti region, is one of many without potable water in Ghanaian villages. Residents here rely on a dirty and brownish water source for domestic use. Sadly, they also share the same water source with cattle and drink without any form of treatment. This has led to an increase in waterborne diseases in the community.
The problem that I identified in my community is diseases outbreak as a result of intake of unclean water. They drink with animals like cows.
But 15-year-old Stephen Boache, who hails from this village, is determined to make a difference. He has developed a water purification system that uses basic materials and 6 processes to remove dirt and pollutants from the water.
This is a water purifier. I'll connect my device. I'm going to add dirty water. I wait for some time so that the process can take place. One is having the filter paper and the foams and a net which traps the suspended particles. And from that, the other container also have an aqua tap and a charcoal, which decreases the rate of maybe when the water is having maybe a high acidity. The last container will have the filtrate, and if you want it to be cooled, you just switch on this so that you wait for some time, and after that you just take it.
Stephen is one of the ambassadors for the Ghana Science and Tech Explorer Prize, GSTEP, an initiative put together by the Dream Oval Foundation to equip junior high school students with practical STEM skills to solve societal problems.
So this prototype is going to help them. When it is being in the large scale, it's going to help them purify a lot of water for the whole community.
According to UNICEF Ghana, about 11% of the population still drinks from surface water and other unsafe sources. But Stephen is hopeful that his prototype, if given the needed support, will reduce waterborne diseases in his community. Bensiri. Lois Adeyemi's report for Joy Prime.
Meanwhile, the GSTEP exhibition and award ceremony is slated for January 25, 2023 at the Accra International Conference Center. To other news, the Africa Center for Retirement Research has criticized a 25% increase in monthly pensions, calling it inadequate. The announcement came from the Social Security and National Trust NIT in collaboration with the Pensions Regulatory Authority. The executive director of the center, Abdallah Mashoud, says they expected the pensions to be increased to meet the depreciated purchasing power of the pensioner.
The Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, announced a 25% increase in monthly pensions for 2023. However, the Africa Center for Retirement Research has criticized the move, calling it inadequate. The executive director, Abdallah Mashoud, says they expected the pensions to be increased to meet the depreciated purchasing power of pensioners.
That SNIT, on average, pensioners lost 31% of their purchasing power in 2022. And clearly, the increment of 25% in pensions did not commensurate with the purchasing power lost. Hence, the 25% overall increment was inadequate. So if we are talking about pensioners losing 31.5% of their purchasing power in 2022, then we have an increment of 25%. You realize that we would have expected something much more close to the 31.5%, but we did not get that. Of course, so once 25% is falling short of 31.5%, those are bases to simply conclude that the increment was inadequate.
Mr. Mashoud also called for a review of the current formula of pension indexation. He said pension indexation currently widens the gap between the rich and the poor.
Distribution of pensions is concerned. The Senate payroll has an estimated 8% of rich pensioners in the upper bound, controlling 30% of the total payout, whereas we have about 64% of poor pensioners controlling just 36% of the purse. This is an indication that there is something fundamental wrong with the way we distribute pensions in this country. The depth of economic inequities is largely attributed to the weakness in the mode of indexation or the distribution of pension wealth. So we can all see the gap. If you have 30% of the total payout being controlled by just 8% of the rich pensioners in the upper bound, and we have about 64% of poor pensioners down there who are controlling just 36%. It's just telling us the depth of inequities in the distribution of pension wealth. It is instructive to note that the highest pension amount is not a social security assessment indicator. Once you begin to assess yourself based on the highest, trying to indicate that you are paying so much to the highest earning pensioner, you are only bolstening the economic gap that exists between the rich and the poor.
A report by Prince Kwame Kudoga.
And here at the Multimedia Group, we launched the Classroom project over a year ago as a solution to two of the hundreds of weak school structures dotted across the country. The first project, situated at Breman Jamara in the Sekuma Odobin Brakwa district of the Central Region, is currently at the roofing stage and requires more funds for completion. The second project is in Tolon in the Northern Region, with construction yet to start. Over 700 school children will benefit from the project when completed. My colleague Richard Kwejonyako visited the Breman Jamara DA Basic School site this morning, and he sent in this report.
So we are currently at Breman Jamara DA Basic School, and this is where 6 years ago the unfortunate occurrence where 6 kindergarten school pupils were killed. I mean, the building they called Classroom collapsed on them and their lives were snuffed out. 6 years on, that building has been completed. But there is another building here that is a death trap. The children have their hearts in their mouth whenever they enter this building. So look at the footings of this building. All of these things are removing gradually. They are being removed and the building shakes visibly. Get here. This place shakes. As soon as you hit it slightly, then it shakes. It threatens to break away from the entire structure. So the case do play. And unfortunately, if any of them should lean on this wall, then the unfortunate thing would happen. Now, when it rains, rain seeps through the roofing heavily, and so classes have to be disrupted. Academic activities have to come to a halt. The school pupils have been telling us that they feel unsafe. They are afraid for their lives whenever it rains, because when it rains, the entire building shakes very well, and they feel threatened. And they have the unfortunate occurrence 6 years ago on the back of their mind that something could happen. So what have you been learning today?
is dangerous for us to learn in. When the rain enter the classroom will be very dirty here. So we don't want this class again. We want a new one. So we don't want this class, we want the other one there. We please them to help us this new building so that we can live comfortably in that new room.
Because when it is raining, our ceiling will be removing. The water will be coming inside this room, so we don't want this class again. We want a new one. We feel shaking. When the rain is falling, we feel shaking, we fear, so that the building will break in. So we want the government to build another school for us. We are telling them to come and help us to build the room because we are begging them to come and help us to build the building.
Fortunately, the multimedia group decided to embark on a project and then build a classroom structure that could accommodate the kids. In fact, the kids are crammed in some of the classrooms and it makes academic work very, very difficult. So this is the entire structure that multimedia has been working on, and it has gotten to the roof level, and we need your support. We need the support of the entire country. We cannot wait for any calamity to befall kids yet again in the name of accessing education. And that is why this project ought to be completed so that the kids can move in from the dilapidated structure they currently call the classroom into this new one. Get 60,000 Ghana cedis. The entire building would be completed and ready to be handed over to the school.
At the moment, we are at the roofing stage, and all we need is the roof members to come, and then the sheet will be on it. Then we'll do the ceiling joint, get the doors and the windows fixed. Then we come to a final stage where the tiling will come, and then also the jointing and pointing for this finishing will come. Then we are done. So at the moment, if I have to estimate, I would say we are like 70% done. We're just left about 30%. But the energy is not coming, and we need help to be able to rescue these innocent kids. Because some of us dedicated our time and energy and our knowledge, wisdom, and then this technology to come in and support. It costs me a lot, but it doesn't amount to human life. I mean, if I go to bed always getting scared that what if something happens to these kids, they will go like, they started but they couldn't complete it.
That's what is keeping you on.
Yes, that is what is giving me the energy to still try to push so that we can get this done and then hand it over to the community. Because these kids, look, the last time I was here, when we were on site, when it started raining, before I could say Jack, the kids, all of them came into the corridor just because they were scared that the roof of the structure could be lifted off.
How much are we talking about here?
Like I said, if I should do rough estimate, we need a little under 60,000 because you're talking about the woodworks for the roof itself. We need a sheet, we need the windows and the doors fixed. You understand? And then workmanship, and then we need a ceiling or everything. That amount should be able to sort us out.
So I am appealing to you to help us, the multimedia group, to help with this project. Help us contribute your quota so that we will not be visited with any disaster. We will not come here to be reporting disasters, but we will be coming here to be reporting about the successes chalked by these students, because they need to also study in environments like their peers, like their counterparts in other parts of the country. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejonya-Akon, Breman Jamra.
Definitely. For your support to complete the classroom project, send your donations to MTN Momo number 0593 0388832. The account name is a Multimedia Group Limited. For bank transfers, please send to Access Bank Ghana Limited. The account number is 0090101054191. It's at Castle Road Branch, Accra, and the branch code is 009 and the SWIFT code is ABNGGHAC. You may also call 0242161570 for more inquiries. The Classroom Project is brought to you by the Star Ghana Foundation and the West Africa Civil Society Institute with funding from the Dutch Foreign Affairs Ministry. The Classroom Project promoting social justice through philanthropy. Let's take a break on Joy News today. When we return, it's business.
Charlie, dreams come true. Just a while back, movement was not easy at all. But today, I did drive my own car. All thanks to the amazing EcoBank Auto Finance Package. See, I heard the ad on the radio and did exactly as it said. I found one of EcoBank's car partners and spotted the sweet ride. When they discovered I was buying with EcoBank Auto Finance Package, I automatically got an extra discount. Now, EcoBank offered me the coolest interest rates ever for my car. And that was it. Right now, I dey pay small and enjoying a happy life.
So don't just dream about that car. Call toll-free 0800 003 225 or walk into any EcoBank branch and ask about the EcoBank Auto Finance Package. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Make your mark. Pop, 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 pop.
Express yourself, Charlie, rise and grind. Express yourself, Charlie, rise and grind. If you make slow, try this, my guy. Take one, take two, drink them every day.
Storm Energy. Storm Energy. Make your mark.
Excessive drinking can be detrimental to health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to caffeine.
Rise and grind. If you make slow, try this.
Let's do business now. I am Beverly Broom. Now, government has made a final presentation of its creditors in 20 developed countries to help fast-track the cancellation of the country's debt. This was done by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to the Paris Club of International Creditors. George Riafe has the details.
The presentation was aimed at making a strong case to these 20 developed countries that made up the Paris Club of International Creditors that Ghana deserved a debt cancellation. That is, looking at the current state of the economy and what government intends to do with the reliefs. There were several scenarios that were presented to these creditors on why there's a need to fast-track the negotiations. Well, it looks like government succeeded in making a strong case for these debts to be cancelled. This has led to the Paris Club agreeing to set up a creditors committee, one of the significant steps towards the possibility of having Ghana's debts cancelled. Whilst Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta wished the process could have moved faster, the Paris Club sees the Creditors Committee as a significant move and a sign that it is open to cancelling Ghana's debt. Securing this deal from these creditors may also help fast-track Ghana's IMF program approval from the board before the end of the first quarter of this year. The IMF, again, is pushing the private international creditors to join the initiative and cancel Ghana's debts.
Now, Executive Director at the Southern West Pacific International, Dr. Kaksin Bente, has called for realignment of the public sector procurement system to avoid infractions that result in the state losing huge revenue. This, he believes, will help the nation raking more revenue.
I will still reference the recommendation that I made, that there is a need for us to reconstruct the architecture of procurement in the public sector, where we have an enhanced form of what previously used to exist called the Ghana National Procurement Agency, to now be referred to as a Ghana Government Procurement Organization, where they will run their own balance sheet and run their own payroll. And so therefore, all MMDAs need to do their annual planning and then hand over their requirements to the GOPO to run their sourcing and procurement for them from end to end, without any interference from the MMDAs.
Right. And another issue also has to do with the procurement board. There have been a lot of concerns with respect to their effectiveness. Some are saying maybe they failed, some are saying they are not effective, or some are even raising issues that it's the central government that is not playing its role well. From your experience, what do you think is the problem with respect to the procurement board?
We could make a conjecture based on the available information that is in the public domain by referencing some of the anti-corruption agencies' reports, annual report, the Auditor General's report that is published annually based on the work that they do, to be able to make some inference and arrive at a certain safe point where we can say that, yes, the board is doing its bit. The board is doing very well. If you look at the 2021 Auditor General's report, you realize that while procurement irregularities in 2020, the financial attributions to the irregularities or infractions were approximately 1 billion Ghana cedis. This figure dropped by about 60% in 2021 to about 590 million. So that is a significant improvement. But the problem there is that a significant amount of this particular financial attribution arising from the irregularity is associated with contract inefficiencies or incompetent contracts.
That's all for business. We have more business on Marketplace at 1 p.m. and also on myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broom. Have a good afternoon.
I passed by your favorite barbecue place and I got you something.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your pain level?
No, focus, Ayana.
Push harder.
Oh, I'm trying.
Oh, but you've got to try harder.
I can't.
What I think is happening here is the usual bureaucratic nonsense.
They forced their way into the patient's room.
What? And they held the treatment over his head, sir.
And you're not going to stop until you destroy everything that is good and decent about this hospital. I'm just lost for words.
Thank you for rescuing me from that accident.
By popular request, the Israel trip with Latina is coming on again. You don't want to miss the experience and the adventure. Latina Travel and Tours invite you to join our second prayer-filled pilgrimage to Israel. Prepare to be baptized in the Jordan River by our special guest pastor and pray at the Wailing Wall. We will visit Jericho, Bethlehem, Tiberias, Nazareth, and many more enchanting holy sites that will linger on and on. from the 26th of February to the 6th of March 2023. Cost per person for double occupancy $2,900 and single occupancy $3,450, which includes visa, flight, hotel, tours, transfers, 3 meals a day, travel insurance, and many more. Call Tina now on 0244 260 789. That is 0244 260 789 for your reservation. Limited places available. This trip is sponsored by Joy FM, Sunny TV, and Sunny FM.
Muftau Nabila Abdullah here with sports on JoyNews today. Director General of the National Sports Authority, Professor Peter Chumese, has indicated that events organized at the Accra Sports Stadium generate revenue for maintenance of the facility. Speaking before the Public Accounts Committee on Tuesday, Prof. Chumese said that the events are necessary to ensure the successful running of the authority.
You know, the National Sports Authority owns, on behalf of the state-owned facilities. And you know, a stadium is actually a multi-purpose in function, which can be utilized for many other activities. Many sports, in fact, our 47 sporting associations, all of them have place in there. But there are also other non-sporting activities like other entertainments, which can also be accommodated. And I think our political parties, this is not the first time, but I think last year in particular, we received the National Democratic Congress that came in to also do their Congress successfully. The New Patriotic Party was also there.
The question is, the revenue that you generate from hiring a place, is this sufficient enough to repair the damages? You are talking too much.
Yes, what we generate helps to repair. For damage to the facility, I think I would say it's not really of a burden. The positive aspect of revenue generation, which is very positive for the running of the organization, especially when you look at the last year, the budget that you approved for us. By end of it, we got, yes.
To some boxing now, Isaac Dogbe says he is determined to bring world title fights to the country. In 2017 and 2018, Isaac Dogbe came up against Javier Chacon and Cesar Iores, which were world title eliminators. And they were fights that set him up for a world title contest against Jesse Magdaleno, a fight he won and became a world champion. He says it is important that corporate institutions in the country throw their weight behind the boxing community to be able to stage world title fights in Ghana.
Can really do a lot in a person's life, especially in my life. You know, it's really done amazing, and my team have worked tremendously hard, you know, securing this deal, bringing it to the table, and you know, just working with Niche Coco and all other sponsors who are also present. Look, it's amazing to have, for them to recognize the hard work that we are putting in, or we put in over the years, and you know, moving forward. Now it's not just Isaac Dogbe; it is Isaac Dogbe and Niche Coco moving forward together. You know, it goes to show that, yeah, corporate Ghana is seeing the efforts that we are putting in. You know, we can only thank God and thank the people who paved the way for us. And now we are also carving our own niche in the market of boxing. And, you know, in a few years to come, there's going to be more exciting fighters and more exciting fights. And we are hoping that in the, you know, in the near future, rather than going out there to fight,
That is your sports for now, but we do have more sports stories on my joyonline.com and also at 2 p.m. when my colleague Nathaniel Arthur comes your way with sports today. We appreciate your company. Up next is World News.
Personality profile this Friday, a man with many hearts.
Commonwealth Hall students would know that the editor of the Echo would normally be General Cohen.
So nobody attacked you for describing them?
No, actually, you become very powerful.
Okay.
Even though you don't mean to be.
So people would want to
they don't like to be your friend.
Oh, don't bring that.
Yeah. The girls will approach you and say, oh, they'll try to defend you so that you don't talk about their case.
So you got so many girlfriends?
Well, I dabbled in a few relationships.
What were some of the expeditions?
I used to escape from school, right? Run away from Ashwater School and come and watch the famous 12:15 movies.
Okay.
Opera Square. And the thing is that I'll come back to the school and assemble about 15 students.
and be telling them
the whole story and show them all the moves,
the Chinese one. 9 p.m. on the JoyNews channel. Catch the repeats, 9 a.m. Sunday.
Rommel has 2 but very small. Himmler has 3 but similar. And poor old Goebbels has no balls at all. So this was an English matching song.
Time to check out what's making headlines elsewhere. The Gambia's Vice President Badara Aliyu Jove has died in India. President Adama Barrow has announced the Vice President died after a short illness, although Mr. Barrow did not mention whether he was receiving treatment in India. Mr. Jove was not seen in public for months, reports the BBC's Umar Wali from the capital, Banjul. Mr. Barrow picked him as Vice President after being re-elected in December 2021 for a second term. We take a break. Up next is Showbiz with Becky.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews. And our Assistant Commissioner of Police, Kofi Sapong, who doubles as a gospel minister, says after 4 years of silence, he is cooking something for gospel lovers. He also reveals his plans for the year 2023.
Something is cooking. Special one, of course. So this year, it's a promise that we're here for the experience. Ghanaians will experience Me Too as well this year.
Okay, are we looking at somewhere maybe in between the year or
mid-year? Definitely. I'll be ahead. It was good. Despite the fact that it's about 4 years I came out with a new album, but I've not forgotten most of the bigger programs that held in Accra, Kumasi, and elsewhere. I've had an opportunity to be billed on to minister, so I'm still kicking.
Has your work in any way slowed you down when it comes to the gospel industry or your work as a gospel minister? How are you managing?
Yes, I'm managing it well. Work, I say it has rather helped me. I tell people, if you invited me for a program, I tell you, if per that day I'm not on duty, I'm not assigned by the police administration, I will honor it because after all, if you don't have peace.
Now, US-based Ghanaian gospel singer Sarah Sings has disclosed she is working on her maiden album. Speaking on the US series of E-Vibes, Sarah says her team is working on the new album, which will be out very soon.
We're currently working on my maiden album.
Okay.
But we have 4 singles now. Never Failing.
Never Failing.
Let Him In.
Let Him In.
At Your Feet.
Let Him In actually is one powerful song. I listened to it. So we have Never Failing, we have Let Him In, we have
At Your Feet.
At Your Feet.
We have Toda.
We have Toda.
And now Good God. Making it 5.
So 5.
Yes.
You can have an album.
Yes.
Or an EP or something. What are you waiting for?
No, we're doing the album. It's coming out very soon. So
okay.
Definitely watch out for it. It's going to be my maiden album. I can't wait.
What goes into, creating music? Do you write your own music?
We should sit down for this.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a long conversation.
Well, on that note, we end showbiz here on JoyNews. There's more showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Good afternoon to you, Aisha.
Hello, Becky, and that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news there. You enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.
Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana and play Joy FM.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Listen to Joy FM, Hits FM, Love FM, live on your Amazon Echo. Listen to your favorite multimedia radio stations live on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana, play Joy FM or Hits FM or Love FM. Or catch up on your favorite podcast by saying, Alexa, play, and then the name of your favorite podcast from Multimedia Ghana. For a list of all podcasts available, say Alexa. Ask Multimedia Ghana to browse programs. Alexa, welcome to Multimedia.
Hi everyone, this afternoon on the Marketplace, Finance Minister will seek to convince individual bondholders on the need to embark on a debt exchange program at a meeting later in the day. We have a look ahead. Also coming up, Association of Ghana Industries makes passionate appeal to government to take steps to address depreciation of the cedi.
We are asking the managers of the economy to consider very seriously to see how they can be able to stabilize the currency. That's really what we need.
And as government plans to start new national airlines sometime this year, some stakeholders within the sector are asking for more private-public partnership.
You're a socialist country, you have to support such businesses, but it's difficult. So if we have to move to capitalism, such initiative must be headed by the private sector.
My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. Now, first up, this afternoon, the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum is expected to meet with the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, later in the day. This follows a petition to the Minister for members to be excluded from government's domestic debt exchange program. The Finance Minister will be seeking to convince the individual bondholders on the need to embark on the program. Here with a look ahead is Dr. Daniel Amate-Anim, who is Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon. What should be the posture of both parties going into that meeting today?
Thank you very much. I perceive the bondholders to put up a very aggressive posture, but the onus lies on the Finance Minister to be more flexible in that respect. They have to minimize technicalities. They need to come down to terms with them. They need to be flexible in their approach in negotiating with the bondholders, and they need to communicate efficiently and effectively in a manner that will appeal to the conscience of the bondholders. So largely, the onus lies on the Finance Ministry, the team that will be meeting them. They need to be decorum and courteous with the language. They shouldn't be too technical. They must, at the beginning of the discussion, agree with them that yes, they are right. But looking at the dynamics and the realities within our economy, there's a need for this action. Once they agree or they align with them on this tone, then they can now springboard to negotiate the terms in a manner that they can have a very win-win situation. So largely, I'm of the view that the Finance Ministry has a huge responsibility in communicating or in creating the environment for a fruitful discussion in this particular respect.
But what is it they are going to say at that meeting that they already haven't said? I know you mentioned that communication is important. What can they say at this point to convince the individual bondholders that this is the way to go?
If you recall, the Finance Ministry failed to engage stakeholders holistically. So this is an opportunity for them to apologize that we have erred by not engaging you. It is because of the pressure we're facing, and that's the reason which we triggered the gun without engaging you. We are very sorry in a manner that they will appreciate. So once they level that particular ground, then they will give them a listening here, even though they might have heard it on a number of platforms. Once they have listened to them, then they also tell them the side of government, and they walk them through the path so that at the end of the day, they get to a level ground or an equilibrium ground that will ensure that they come out with a very amicable settlement. So it is an opportunity for the Finance Ministry not to assume that these people might have heard their posture, their position, but to just tell them that, no, we are human. It is as a result of the pending pressure we're facing as managers of the economy. And that's the reason which probably we erred by not engaging you right from the beginning. But this is a fine opportunity. We want you to understand this, and so that we can roll out a policy to save this economy.
But what is difficult is the entrenched position taken by the bondholders. I had one rep speak on radio earlier saying, well, they are not backing down on their demand that they should not be included in the debt exchange program. That makes it more difficult.
Certainly so. Excuse me. Certainly so. And that's the reason which the finance ministry, they must come to terms. They have to be flexible in terms of their communication mechanisms. Of course, they should expect a certain degree level of aggressiveness from the bondholders because their investment is locked up. Okay, so they should expect all the negatives from them. But it is their responsibility to admit and ensure that they create the environment. Of course, it depends on how the finance ministry, for that matter, the team that will be engaging these people will approach this particular. I'm of the view that this particular discussion, they ought to have engaged a very expert, somebody who have a knowledge in ADR in terms of negotiation to be able to guide the finance ministry team to be able to minimize or cap nerves in this particular respect. It's a very difficult, they are going to have a very difficult or a very aggressive banter, but they should understand that, yes, the Bible even says it, that where your treasure is, that is where your heart is. And this is a hard-earned money that they are not going to have access to within the shortest possible time. So the finance ministry should appreciate it from that end. Okay. And they should be able to, if possible, try to meet them halfway. To me, that will be a better position going forward.
Do you think the January 31 deadline given would work this time around?
I'm afraid it won't. It won't. And that's the reason which the finance ministry should be able to devise strategies in terms of their communication. Because as it stands now, I'm afraid they will not be able to meet finalize issues with respect to the deadlines and friends that they give themselves.
Okay, thanks for being frank with your thoughts there. Dr. Daniel Mate, Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development. We'll be watching to see the outcome of that meeting. But we have some good news. The year-on-year inflation rate at factory gate prices for all goods and services fell to 52.3% in December 2022 from 78% recorded in November 2022, according to data from the Ghana Statistical Service. Now, the monthly change rate was minus 13.3%, indicating the rate of inflation slowed during the month under review. The producer price index for December 2023 is, however, not too different. December 2022, I should say, is not too different from the consumer price index for the same period. Now, perhaps this could signal a fall in the consumer price index, or what we generally know as the inflation rate for January 2023. So we continue to look at that as well and see what figures we would have when the Ghana Statistical Service presents the inflation figures for the month of January 2023. But industries have to grapple with the city's depreciation. The Association of Ghana Industries is making a passionate appeal to government to take steps to address the depreciation of the city, warning if the trend continues, it could erode the gains made during the December period. The association's comment coming at a time the city has come under immense pressure. The city has so far declined in value to the dollar by about 12%. Chonam Akpelo is Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the AGI.
For us in industry, what we need is the stability of the currency. We want to be able to plan 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. The only way we are able to plan is if we know that the currency is stable. As it is now, you sit in a boardroom, you make a plan. In less than a week, the plan is thrown out of gear because of how the currency is dancing on a daily basis. And we're saying that we need a regime that allows for stability. And that's really what we are calling for. Sometimes it goes so down, sometimes it goes so up. We don't want that. We want stability. And we are asking the managers of the economy to consider very seriously to see how they can be able to stabilize the currency. That's really what we need.
Now, as government plans to start the new national airline sometime this year, some stakeholders within the sector are asking for more private-public partnership to sustain the new airline. James Ishen has been speaking to some stakeholders in this report.
Aviation is crucial to international business, trade, and tourism. Ghana's aviation industry has more than 20 aviation operators and includes those employed in the servicing of aircraft, management of airports, air traffic control operators, ground handlers, airport security, and immigration, as well as customs. The Minister for Transport, Kweku Ofori-Siama, announced that Ghana Airlines will start operations this year. But CEO of McDan Group of Companies, Daniel Macaulay, is asking for more engagement to ensure a robust aviation sector.
The whole world is turning into. The past year, 2022, had been a serious struggling year. And we saw things that we have never seen before in this country. We have seen too many things happen in terms of business. And I feel that the politicians did their best. The government did what they had to do. Right now, the selected private sector with voice must have some voice with ideas. I'm a private sector driven person, and anything in the private sector works. I mean, the world is moving on, and Ghana, I'm one of the few people who think Ghana is still a socialist country, yet we are using capitalist law to govern this country. So if you are a socialist country, you have to support such businesses, but it's difficult. So if we have to move to capitalism, such initiative must be headed by the private sector.
Managing Director for TAG Angola, Diane Chun, is asking for government to engage the private sector.
The ups and downs that you're talking about might be what? Sort of like fuel costs, yeah. It's like all industries. We are struggling with the rising cost of living. As you know, oil and gas prices have gone up. Supplier prices have gone up, and what we need to do is make sure that our services are as efficient as possible, so our onboard product is efficient, and that way we're not passing on too many of these costs to the customer. For us, Ghana also, we see this as very much a gateway into Africa, because Ghana is a very popular place at the moment for conventions and events. So inbound tourism, inbound conventions, inbound conferences. So together we think our two countries can work very, very well together. We want to build those economic ties.
Ghana's airline is expected to operate as the country's national carrier following the decision to award Ashanti Airlines and its operational and financial partner, Zotus Group, a tender to commence business.
It depends on the market that you're in. So private sector ownership works very, very well in some places. It doesn't work as well in other places. Public sector ownership has its challenges also in terms of what we would call a legacy carrier that has maybe a lot of old policies and processes that haven't been changed in years because it's more difficult to do so. Whereas I think a private sector airline is potentially more able to react more.
All right, some stakeholder views on a new national airline, which we expect sometime this year. Fingers crossed still. Well, next, our business advisory series. The last couple of days, we have been talking about tax planning and why it is important for business survival. Today, we want to add managing your cash flow and why it is important in these austere times. Gilbert Yurinchi Ado is Senior Manager, Tax and Regulatory at Deloitte Ghana, joins me in studio to discuss. It's great to have you in the studio. Welcome. Welcome.
Good to have you too.
So cash flow is important component for managing our finances, businesses as well. So in this time of austerity, how do you manage your cash flow?
I mean, great. I mean, cash flows are very much important, as you have alluded to. Now, to be able to manage that, you have to have an effective management accounting system in place. And that will then set out the budgeting policies you have in place and you also have to put in place monitoring systems, to monitor the key budget holders. And this will dovetail into you having to look at the actual performance as against what you set out to do. And where there are variances, you try to find out reasons why there are those variances, be it positive or negative, and then take proactive measures, to address them head on. And this should be done on an intermittent basis. It can be done quarterly or half year or monthly. That is the only way you can be able to stay afloat. And you need serious monitoring, and you need to hold the budget holders accountable. Accountability is very key, and they have to be able to provide prompt responses in order to be able to, address some of the teething issues that may come up.
And I guess it also requires some monitoring as well once you demand accountability. So what are the systems that you can put in place to monitor and also to demand accountability? Great.
So I did allude to the fact that you need to have key budget holders. So let's go into a business setting. You have HR, you have accounting, you have procurement. At the beginning of every year, they come with their estimates, what they intend to do. Some will be cost centers, some will be cost and revenue centers at the same time. Now, they set out plans in order to maybe raise revenue. They set out plans in order to incur certain costs that will inure towards the generation of revenue. So these are the key budget holders. Hold them accountable. You set out to do A, B, C, D. For instance, at the beginning of the financial year in my firm, I'm given a budget. And then I sit down with my team. We have a discussion, we have a conversation. How are we going to meet this set target? Intermittently, and we do that on a monthly basis. We are checking. Why are we not meeting? What are the issues? Are there clients that are not performing well? Do they have issues? So promptly, you're able to then head on address issues. So that is the only way you need to hold them accountable. And accountability, moves with providing prompt response and reasons for those response. Why are these clients not paying? They may have cash flow issues, but then you sit in your corner and you just, client A is not paying. You yourself, you need to ask yourself, am I being reasonably accountable? But you take that proactive measures, engage the client, find out reasons why. Then that will then propel you to look for other businesses that can then offset this particular client that may not be forthcoming in terms of revenue generation.
And how do you deal with clients that are not forthcoming? Number one, you want your money. Number two, you don't want to lose the client. How do you manage?
It's all about engagement. You see, I always say that the client should be your wife, your girlfriend, your friend. You see, it's a relational business. So the client, you must always be visible at the client. It can be digital, it can be physical. I always say that I love direct marketing. I'll walk into offices, have a conversation, find out why you are facing these challenges. What can we do together? Of course, there are bad times and good times. And any reasonable business that knows that you were with them during the bad times will always remember you during the good times. It's a natural human phenomenon. You get it?
Well, I get it because we all understand what is happening. And so it's good that both businesses reason and then come to a logical conclusion on matters. Let's talk about, you're talking a lot about austerity during these times, and people are wondering how to manage expenditure, deal with taxes as well. I want to find out from you how businesses can do that, manage their balance sheets as well so that they stay competitive.
Good. I would say that the first thing is to understand what the word austerity means. How do you plan when you don't even understand what austerity is? Government is saddled with what? Heavy debt. And if you read the literature, they will tell you that, there are three forms of what? Austerity, types of austerity measures. One is where government will seek to what? Increase revenue, high taxes to be able to mobilize sufficient revenue in order to curtail or meet or manage the public debt. The other thing is the Angela Merkel principle. When Germany found itself in such crisis, what did Angela Merkel propose? What they did was, okay, fine, in as much as you seek to what? Increase taxes, do away with what? unnecessary public spending. Because it's also another measure of raising in what? Revenue. So that you prioritize. That is when the economy of scales, the economy that we learn, scarcity of resources and all those planning comes to bear. You prioritize and focus on that which is important and that which will help the economy. And the free economic thinkers, they are also of the view that you lower taxes as well as what? Lower what? Government spending. And with that, and these are schools of thought. An understanding of this will help you to what? Have an efficient plan in place. So when we come to the Ghana situation, already there's a lot of tax handles in the economy. Government have put up a lot of policies in place in order to raise revenue. E-levy is going on, VAT has been increased. There are other measures that are running in order to shore up the revenue mobilization situation in the country. So that is already running. GRA was able to what? Exceed its target over, I think, 3.6 billion. I hope I'm quoting right. But then, I mean, if you read the news, you see that GRA has managed to what? Exceed. So that drive is there. They are doing tax audit, tax amnesty is there running, and they are doing all these things to show up the revenue. So for businesses, what do? Compliance. I always say that when it comes to taxation, the best tax planning for me as a tax consultant is 3 things. And these 3 things comes with what? It's sanctions. Your reporting requirement. You need to report and report right. How do you report and report right? Have the requisite skill sets. And that is where consultants come in handy. Sometimes some businesses want to do it themselves and you end up creating a mess for yourself. Report right. You need to file at the right time. Taxation is law. You are enshrined by law to file at this date. Make sure you comply. You have made a savings. And then do what? Pay what you have to pay. Now, all these 3 parameters that I've mentioned comes with what? Sanctions.
All right. We have 1 minute on this topic. Businesses want to stay profitable despite these challenges. So what can they do to stay profitable? Your advice to them?
Good. So have an efficient management accounting system in place, and that will take us into appropriate budgeting, monitoring the KPIs that you set out in the budget, make sure that you hold the key budget holders accountable, prompt evaluation, and then prompt remedial action where there are excesses on how to deal with this. That will help you to manage your cash. That will help you to also manage your expenditure lines.
Right.
And then for taxes, lastly, like I did allude to, make sure that you do not play with your compliance system.
All right. Gilbert Yurinchi Ado, Senior Manager, Tax and Regulatory, Deloitte Ghana. We'll be having you on tomorrow as well.
Great. Yes.
So we'll have a lot more to talk about. I appreciate your time with us. You're watching The Marketplace. Let's do this last segment. Well, a new year has begun, and most of us will be looking to make some advances in our careers. One of the platforms people like to use to build their profile is the LinkedIn platform, but most people don't get it right. So my colleague Isaac Atasenyako, who is also a tech enthusiast, joins me on Zoom to do Let's Talk Tech today. Henry Kobler is away, can join us. And so Isaac will be holding the fort. Great to speak with you, Isaac, from the newsroom. So first of all, tell us about the importance of the LinkedIn platform.
Great. So thank you, Darryl, for having me. So when we talk about LinkedIn, it's as simple as carrying the world of job market online. So for instance, if we say that, or maybe in the past, you may want to drop a CV, or you may want to walk personally to the office of a company to drop an application. This time, we are saying that we live in that era where you don't really have to walk or do a physical walk-in, but there is a platform that connects businesses and also professionals. So it's always important for you to keep that profile. It's always important for you to build that brand that you want to be known for, so that it makes it easy for companies, for the industry to recognize you. And also for you as an individual or a professional, it makes it easy for you to reach out to, let's say, companies or the industry that you are in. It has that platform of the connection of so many professionals that you can be able to tap in. You may never know where the next opportunity is coming from. And we are just saying that if you're on your own, it's quite difficult to, grab all of these things in a go.
So, I mean, how does one optimize their profile? Any tips?
Great. So I'm going to share a few with you. And one of the most important things here is your profile picture. Now, it's very, very important because if you walk into an office, I need to be able to identify who I need to know who I am dealing with. Now, when we are online or you have a profile online and you fail to upload a profile picture, what it means is that I'm just probably connecting with someone I do not know, I cannot see by face. So a profile picture is very, very important. I'll tie that in with the background photo as well. So you realize that you also need a background photo. When you click on a LinkedIn account, you see this blank space at the top, on top of the bar. Now, that's also important because it's one of the few things that attracts people to your profile to check you out. So the visual, it's important to always keep an outlook that will keep people attracted, that will draw people to you, to your profile, to check what you have and what you are doing. Again, your headline. Now, some people just want to keep it simple, keep their headline as just, let's say, their job title. But the world is changing, things are evolving, it becomes boring over time.
Okay.
So you've got to be creative, a little ingenious, and then create a headline or a tagline that's more catchy,
all right,
that will attract people.
All right, Isaac, you know what we're going to do next week? We're going to have you in studio and you make a presentation on that. I think there's interesting stuff that people need to learn. And that's the marketplace. Sure. Everyone, thanks for your time with us. My name is Darrell Kwao. We will be back same time tomorrow.
Personality profile this Friday, a man with many hearts.
Common Thought students would know that the editor of the Echo would normally be General Kohia.
So nobody...
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for always making time to join me, Mirabel, on Home Tips with Mira. Home Tips with Mira, as you know, is always about learning home tips to make life so easy at home and in the kitchen. Things that you can learn to do it yourself, that is DIYs and home remedies. I want to ask you a question. After preparing your banku, what do you use to wrap your banku? Welcome back. Like I told you, I'm going to show you the leaves that I use to wrap my banku. I use my plantain leaf. If I can't get my plantain leaf, what I also use is this leaf, which you and I know as the wache leaf. Yes, this wache leaf is from a plant that is called the katem plant. And these are the leaves. The plant is mostly cultivated because of the use of the leaves. And when you go to your wache seller's place to buy your wache or your bean seller's place and you request that they serve your food in this, you know what it comes along with, a beautiful aroma, and it makes you to enjoy your food. So I bought this at the market. It contained about 30 pieces of the leaf for only 2 cedis. And when I came back, I took my time to wash it, and then I patted it dry with tissue, and then I preserved it in my Ziploc bag. So it's readily available anytime that I want to use it to prepare my banku. Let me show you how I cut my plantain leaves into desirable sizes that I will use to wrap my banku. I have my knife here. So I'll take the leaf like this, hold it, and run the knife gently along the stalk so that I'll be able to get only the leaf. So I have the leaves. There's a natural tear here, so I just run it along. And there's another 1, 2 here, so I just run it along and divide it. My plantain leaves are ready. I've divided them into the sizes that I want. The next thing is to wash them with water. I already have water in this bowl, so I'm going to add either salt, sea salt, or use vinegar. The essence of the salt or the vinegar is to kill any living organisms on the plantain leaves. So put your salt in the water. And soak your leaves in the water. The water should be able to cover the leaves and leave it for about 5 minutes. Alright, so it's been 5 minutes now. You just have to wash the leaves. Use your hands to rub gently against the surface of the leaves. So after you finish, you throw the water away. Rinse this under running water. Our leaves are now washed and rinsed. So the next thing that we have to do is to pat them dry. If you have tissue, you can use it, or if you have a clean napkin, you can also use it to pat it dry. You would want to rub your napkin on the surface in this motion. If you do it in a circular motion, or you do it fast because you are in a hurry, the leaf is so fragile that you end up tearing all your leaves into pieces. Now our leaves are ready. The next thing to do is to run it on a gentle fire to make the leaf malleable. So please watch me as I do it. Now our leaves are all ready. So if you think that what you have done is enough and you would leave some, just put it in a Ziploc bag. If you don't have a Ziploc bag, get an Olonka rubber and put it and tie it and keep it in your fridge. It can be there for like 2 weeks. So when you are doing banku the next time, you just reach out for the leaves and use it because it's already prepared. So you keep it like this in your fridge. The katenf plant leaf, which we usually use to buy our wachi. This is how it is, you know. This one thing is that you don't put it on fire like I did with the plantain leaf. So from the market, just remove them, put them in a salty water or water mixed with vinegar and soak it for the same number of minutes, about 5 minutes. After that, remove it, rinse it under running water and then pat it dry. When you are done, keep it nicely in your Ziploc bag and keep it in the fridge. This one has been in the fridge for close to 2 weeks. So it's still fresh, look at it. So I'm going to use this one to wrap my banku. Is this not beautiful and presentable? And on top of it, very healthy. Please, when you do this for your family and friends, they'll always remain grateful. don't forget to wrap your banku in either katem plant leaves, which is known as the wache leaves, or your plantain leaves. It has been Home Tips with Mira. Thank you so much once again for your time. You know how we do it. Please remember to watch me on this same channel. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Bye-bye.
My name is Patience Holomeji from Dantaman Community Basic School, the team lead for Alpha S, and we are here to present to you our prototype, which was developed from melting plastics, which were then used in molding bricks. So we all know about the problems plastic waste causes in our country and the effect it has on our environment and also on our marine lives. According to research by Hannah Ritchie and Max Rosa, which was published on the 1st of September 2018, states that 30 million tons of metric plastics are dumped into our oceans each and every year. And this has caused harm to our marine lives. So my team and I decided to come up with a way of using plastics, recycled plastics, in creating something. So this is how the process started. We first of all gathered a number of plastics. With a source of heat, we got our plastics melted. In order to get our molds, we cut wood into different sizes, and we used that as our molds. So with the process, we melted our plastics, took our molds, poured water in it, then we poured in our melted plastics, waited for some time, sprinkled water on top. It didn't take about 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, and the plastic brick was melted. So please, after that, this is what we got. And this has a dimension of 9 centimeters. And so with the building process, we took a plywood, arranged the plastic bricks on it, and first we sketched something, how we wanted our house to look like. Then we dismantled it again, and with the help of our glue, we started building, and we used our glue in sticking the bricks to each other. And with our ceiling, we took a big plywood, and we used the wood in blocking the four corners, poured water inside, and poured our melted plastics, placed in the bottle tops you see in it. We placed it in order to make it strong, and the wood you see in order to make it strong so that it won't break. So after that, we removed it and did the same to the other side too. After that, we joined it using the glue. So please, I'd like to give it to my team member, Lois, too.
I'm Lois Yawadjame, the business lead for Team Alpha S. And people living in the slum areas are our main targets. So by selling to them our idea, we are sure they'll patronize it because it's low on the pockets of people. And also it's affordable and extremely durable. And in collaboration with Zoom Lion and Dispose Green and other waste management companies, we are sure our dream can be a reality. Thank you.
I'm Miriam Musabute Agweji, the marketing lead for Team Alpha S. Our product is going to be advertised on all social media handles like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and other social media handles. The reason why people will buy our product is that our product is affordable. In Ghana, now as a bag of cement is sold at 90 cedis. That is also making the price of cement blocks increase. Now cement block is sold at 6 cedis, 80 pesos. But our plastic brick is going to be sold at 3 cedis, which will be low. Thank you.
I hear molten plastic. How do you get it to be molten?
Please, with a source of heat. We use charcoal, and sometimes we use gas.
Yes. So you use all kinds of plastics?
Yes, please.
And then you put it in a container?
Yes. We first of all heat the container, then we drop the plastics one by one. Then whilst melting, we'll be stirring.
So I work in the sustainability and environment space, so this is like something I'm highly interested in. I would have loved to see the process as Judge Leslie was asking about. does it generate smoke?
Yes.
So the reason I'm asking you that, you see, you are trying to solve an environmental problem, but you don't end up creating a bigger environmental problem. Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alpha S. Please, round of applause for them. Really, really interesting concept. Thank you so much. So the next team will be Healthy Ghana.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alhassan Ali Jida is my name. With my team members, we are Healthy Ghana. Our concept is on Live Healthier. Then our project is about a wearable electronic tracker for health-related complications, known as the Emergency Medical Care Electronic Tracker, or EMSET. Imagine you being an asthmatic patient, stranded in a room without your inhaler, all alone, without help from anyone, and you are having an asthmatic attack. You might suffer from health-related complications or even die due to lack of urgency. But with the help of the EMSET, you would receive urgent assistance from a nearby hospital or health facility to prevent you from suffering from health-related complication or death.
The EMSET is aimed at helping individuals who need help urgently, medical attention urgently from a nearby health facility. The EMSET is going to help their facility get to know the location and then send a message to the person who needs the help instantly. The EMSET is also made with a button and a buzzer. The button initializes all the processes which sends the message and then the location. Then the buzzer sounds alert to other people around to come and help them the person instantly.
The EMSET is novel because it is in a wearable form. This means that you can take it anywhere. My team and I decided to make it in a wristwatch. It gives real-time results. In this case, a button has been made on it. When you press the button, it sends the message to the nearby hospital for them to come to your aid. The EMSET is made of appropriate and affordable materials. The materials we use are appropriate and affordable. In this case, a person is going to wear it on his or his wrist, and it will not give any side effect when the person puts it on.
A plastic has been used as an insulator to prevent the electrical power from shocking the user. And for the buzzer not to disturb other people, it has been said that after 30 seconds, it will stop after the messages and the locations have been sent. Therefore, the user's comfort comes foremost. The user and the purchaser will be comfortable wearing this tracker.
So please, now we'll make a demonstration of how our prototype works. So Auntie Angela, please, can you be our receiver? Please, I'm about to press the button, which will send a message to you as the receiver now, for you to know that the person is in the need of your help. So, please, we can all hear the buzzer sounding, which means that anybody that has pressed this button would receive immediate help from those around them to give them first aid, to prevent them from suffering from health-related complications. Auntie, please, as the message appeared. Wait. Auntie, please, can you read it out?
I need immediate medical assistance.
This is a demonstration of how our prototype works.
Asthma. The ambulance might not probably have an inhaler or anything of the sort. But if I am prompted that, if the message goes to the ambulance and says that I have asthma and I'm having an asthmatic attack, then they are coming specifically with the needed treatment I hope you understand, because an asthmatic patient can still die on an ambulance. I hope you understand.
So, Uncle, we thought about this too. So, apart from the number of the hospital or health facility, we also added the number of a relative or a guardian, so that when the buzzer GSM sends a message to it, to the hospital, it will also send a message to your guardian also.
The phone call that was coming through on the phone, the emergency session phone, when I pay for her to pick that call as the service provider, what would have been on the other end? Can the person in the emergency say, I need help, I have asthma, this is a problem?
Also, for now, we've not added any voice to it. So, but when we are moving forward, we'll add a voice to it, that a specific voice, like Uncle said, maybe you have malaria. We'll say that, please, I have malaria, so I need treatment now, or I have asthma.
Thank you so much, Healthy Ghana. Thank you so much. Anyway, so the next team, Team Nunya. Team Nunya. Are you ready? Team Nunya. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. All right, timekeeper. Your time starts now.
Hello, teachers, panel of judges, greetings to you all. I'm Courage, I'm here with my fellow partners, Gosway, Emilia, Bright, and Excel. Today we are presenting to you on our project, which is SGN Model 2022, Seeds Germinator and ESA. In the community where we come from, farmers face a lot of challenges. One of the basic challenges farmers face is nursing of seeds. During our investigation, farmers told us that when the nurses takes a long time before it germinates, some of the seeds do not germinate, which makes them not to be able to get large quantities of seedlings for transplanting. Some of the seedlings die before transplanting, and also some face pest attacks. And in addition, the education sector, students in our school complain of not being able to understand the topic germination when teachers are teaching, because it's taught orally. So our aim is to make an automated system which will make seeds to germinate faster, produce seedlings in large quantities, help to prevent seedlings from dying before transplanting, and will also help to monitor the germination and growth of seedlings. And in addition, our automated system will help both pre-tertiary and tertiary institutions in the education sector to learn to get more knowledge and understanding on the concept of germination. In constructing our system, the materials we use are the wood, transparent glass, the solar batteries, thick black polythene rubber, the camera, water pump, DHT11 sensor, the capacitive soil moisture sensor, the conductor, the filament bulb, which is serving as the conductor, the LED bulb, the paint, the pipes, the solar panel. The number of seedlings you can produce in this system varies. Like pepper like this, you can nest it. We've made holes under the seed box. So the number of holes that you've made under the seed box is the number of seedlings that you plant. So in our system, we've made 15 holes in each row in the seed box. So our system will take, this system particularly will take 75 seedlings.
Okay, and how will you transplant your seedlings into the nursery?
After the germination and the seedlings are matured, you take the seed box out and use a hand thrower to fetch the seedling in the seed box.
Without damaging the root?
No.
So I want to understand a few things.
Okay.
This germinates the seeds, or the seeds are germinated and then transplanted here for them to...
No, it germinates. You nest and it germinates.
So it germinates here.
Yes.
But you presented a data that said that day one you saw 1 centimeter.
No, when it was germinating.
That was when you started counting.
Yes. So we nest one in the normal environment and one in our system.
So when it started germinating,
yes,
or at least when they all got out of the soil,
yes,
that is when you started measuring.
Yes.
That is where you got that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Which community are you from?
Oh, we are from Balagono.
Where is that?
It's in Denchra, the Gansouth municipality.
Which
district?
region is that?
Gansouth.
Gansouth.
Yes.
Okay. So the farmers in your community,
yes,
between buying seedlings from you or buying this machine, which one would you think that they'll be able to afford?
In this system, some of the things which are here will not be needed by farmers a lot.
So I'm painting a picture. So I'm talking about farmers in your community.
Yes.
Okay? They have two options. Either they buy the machine and then they have it and they are using it, or you grow the seedlings and then they come and buy the seedlings from you. Which one do you think will be more willing to afford?
Okay, then the one they can afford is we nursing and the seedlings are ready and selling
Sell it
out
to
to
them.
them.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Team Nunya.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
very much. Thank you. Final presentation. The last but certainly not the least. This with their name itself is like a mathematical equation. PS2A is the name of the next group. PS2A.
We thank God for this day, and we thank Joseph for this opportunity. Our group name is PS2A, and they represent our school, Presec Staff School 2. We thought and investigated about problems affecting us in a society. So our project, we came about with this idea to build a renewable source which does not produce any harmful emissions like the solar panels does. The solar panels brings out harmful emissions like CO2.
The wind is air in motion. A windmill is a machine designed to convert the energy of the wind into more useful forms. This energy can be used to generate electricity or to pump water. They harness the energy of the wind using mechanical power that turns it into electricity. Uses of the windmill. The windmill is used to generate electricity and is used for agricultural purposes like grain milling and watering crops.
With a circuit, it has a regulator. The current that flows from the motor to the circuit moves straight into the regulator. So the regulator regulates the current and passes it into a storage circuit for future use. So we put this lithium battery to serve as a storage medium. So if the wind turns the turbines and produces the electrical current, the circuit regulates it and stores it for future use. So whenever there's no excessive wind, you can use the windmill because it has a storage part.
Were you held up? Sorry. Were you, is it me or were you late? You were late. What held you up? Traffic? So well done. It didn't show. So you did a good job. That's how to play the game. Yes, so very well done. I have a question on, you said you were targeting rural areas. But your media, social media, how do people in rural areas, do they primarily use social media for their communication? Or is there like a channel where maybe you have to see the chief of the community or the DCE, or what's the other one called, the DCRO or something like that? Or do they use social media? Do you know, or?
People from the eastern region, that's my region, I know that they have TVs and they have chiefs as well. So the television that they normally use is UTV or Adum TV. So if this program, this step, is able to help other people from different channels to come and see our ideas, I believe that people from different places here in Ghana will be able to get the information. Or the MCs will get access to this information on social media platforms and inform the people in their village so that they can also bring or they can raise funds in order to improve this in their village to get electricity.
Great. What's the purpose of the tail of the turbine?
Please, that's a wind vane. So let's say the wind is not blowing in this direction. The wind vane will move the wind vane will move, like when the wind blows, it will move the wind vane and it shows the direction of the wind so that
Okay. But I see a cable from down there to the motor.
Yes.
So won't that be affected by the movement of the vane?
We couldn't get, we use this as a vane. So when the wind blows and it pushes this to turn it to the correct direction.
But the cable, you see the cable from the motor down there?
Yeah, that's where the current flows through.
If the vane keeps moving, does the vane move 360?
Yeah.
Is he allowed to move 360?
Yes.
And that cable there will not get, because I see the cable come down under where the moving part for the vane is. The cable won't be affected. It will move 360 in all directions.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good presentation. I like the use case. My question to you is, how is this different from other wind? Because you're not the first one developing wind turbines. How is it different?
So what makes our project special is that we are able to introduce it into our part of the world. It's not any new project, but we just want to introduce it into our part of the world. Ghana, for instance, we don't use this. We use the hydroelectric power and the solar panels.
Thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. Dear judges, please, short words, 1 minute each, of what you saw today and perhaps what you look to tomorrow. I think I'll start from my left. Sir, do you have any comments for us, please?
I think this is a very impressive gathering of young people who are trying to think of solutions for their environment, and we need to encourage them, as we've discussed amongst ourselves. Even if mistakes, it doesn't matter. They should just keep on trying to solve problems, and Ghana will be the better for it. Thank you.
No, we're having a conversation. No, it's a conversation. I know. We're having a conversation. Thank you very much.
Politically correct. Aren't you tired of the overly refined political opinion, banter, and analysis on radio and television?
Well, it's time to break the shackles and liberate your political opinion on social media. JoyNews is bringing to your favorite social media platform a political talk show like no other. Raw, live, and interactive. We call it the State of Play.
Join the best political team on social media. Evans Mensah, Winston Amwa, and Raymond Aqua every Thursday for 30 minutes at 2:30 p.m. exclusively on the JoyNews and Joy 99.7 FM Facebook pages, as well as on YouTube and Instagram for a live interaction. Drop your comments on our live stream and engage with us on Twitter via the hashtag State of Play. State of Play, simply politically incorrect.
PM Personality Profile this Friday, a man with many hearts.
Common Hall students will know that the editor of the Echo would normally be General Ko here.
So nobody attacked you for describing them?
No, actually, you become very powerful.
Okay.
Even though you don't mean to be.
So people would want to
they don't like to be your friend.
Oh, don't bring me.
Yeah, because will approach you and say, oh, they'll try to defend you so that you don't talk about their case.
So you got so many girlfriends?
Well, I dabbled in a few relationships.
What were some of the expeditions?
I used to escape from school, right? Run away from Ashwater School and come and watch the famous 12-15 movies.
Okay.
Opera Square. And the thing is that I'll come back to the school and assemble about 15 students.
And be telling them
the whole story and show them all the moves,
the Chinese one. 9 p.m. on the JoyNews channel. Catch the replay.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Today. My name is Nathaniel Atto and I'll take you to our big headlines that are leading the pack of stories or bringing you over the next 30 minutes here on Joy News. Now, the Director General of the National Sports Authority is in an uncomfortable place over lack of stadium maintenance across the country. We'll talk about that. The Ghana FA is ramping up efforts to appoint a new Black Stars coach with 3 names shortlisted. And later, the Youth and Sports Ministry is set to settle the arrears owed the Black Galaxies ahead of tomorrow's game against Sudan. Well, it's all these and more as usual. We're bringing you all of this within the next 30 minutes. Thank you very much and welcome to the show. Remember, we're also on 421 on DSTV and 144 on GoTV. Well, let's begin with this particular story where the controversies surrounding sports transcended the playing field again when the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Professor Peter Chumesi, was taken to task over his handling of a number of issues at the NSA, including the poor handling of national stadia for social events. Now, the Public Accounts Committee expressed concern about how poorly national facilities were maintained and wondered why the situation was so. Here is the answer Professor Peter Chumesi gave.
You know, the National Sports Authority owns, on behalf of the state-owned facilities. And you know, a stadium is actually a multi-purpose in function, which can be utilized for many other activities. Many sports, in fact, our 47 sporting associations, all of them have place in there. But there are also other non-sporting activities like other entertainments, which can also be accommodated. And I think our political parties, this is not the first time, but I think last year in particular, we received the National Democratic Congress that came in to also do their Congress successfully. The New Patriot Party was also there.
The question is, the revenue that you generate from hiring a place, is it sufficient enough to repair the damages? You are talking too much.
Yes, what we generate helps to repair. For damage to the facility, I think I would say it's not really of a burden. The positive aspect of revenue generation, which is very positive for the running of the organization, especially when you look at the last year, the budget that you approved for us. By end of it, we got, yes, we realized the goods and services we receive only about 287,000. So this IGF arrangement that we do are harmless to the the infrastructure, and it's a good way of the organization also to generate revenue. Yes, yes.
Mr. Chair. Director General, can you give assurance to this committee that you do as we are requesting?
Yes, yes, Honorable Chair. I said yes.
Okay, yes, you do that. Do you have what you're going to use to cover the field? Do you have them already?
Yes, Honorable Chair, we do have materials for covering, except that, as my Chief Director indicated, there are better technologies that can cover and preserve better than what we have now.
Why are you not using what you have now?
That's what we are pursuing.
Why are you not using what you have now? Why?
It's a huge investment, Honorable Chair. No, what we have now, we use.
You use?
Yes, but
the last time I entered the stadium, you didn't cover anything.
Oh.
You didn't. I was at our Congress, NDC Congress. I was there. You didn't cover the field.
Nothing was there. The NDC Congress in particular.
Yes.
If you look at the usage per the agreement we had, then the setup were to be on the AstroTurf, and leaving the grass material.
Okay.
Yes, on time.
Anyway,
but later we saw people
use the
swimming.
field,
Yes,
actually.
yes. That's the thing. Yes.
But with respect to the MPP Congress, we use the field, and it was not covered. No, you see, I'm only saying this so that, because you see, your minister says that on several occasions he has directed you, but you have done nothing about it. And if you were to look at the cost involved in repairing the field after every event, Shatawale recently held an event. It covered the entire field. So, Director General, take it serious. Yes, we don't have event centers, but we have the sports stadium. But at least for the green grass, let's protect it for the football, please.
Honorable Isaac.
Well, we'll be doing some more on the subject of maintenance of stadia, but let's talk some football now. And the Ghana FA has ramped up some efforts to appoint a new coach to lead the Black Stars. Now, the role has been vacant since Otto Addo, the coach who led Ghana to the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, stepped down from the hot seat on December 2. Now, it is understood that Chris Hughton, the man who served as the technical advisor to Ghana at the World Cup, has been shortlisted alongside current Manchester United assistant coach Steve McLaren and Argentine trainer Hector Cooper. Now, here to do some analysis virtually on the competence of these coaches and who best suits is Ishra FM's Fifi Manfred. He's been doing some monitoring of these coaches and what they can bring to the table. Fifi, good to have you here on the show.
Thank you very much, Nat. Good to have you. Good to meet you.
Great. Let's get into this. Immediately, for speculation's sake, someone would say, look, Chris Hughton is the man who has the recent institutional memory because of his exploits with the team. So it will be easy to just hand him the job or, something along those lines.
Yes, I think I'll agree with those who come with that school of thought, because if you look at Chris Hughton, he has a Ghanaian lineage and he hails, a part of him hails from here. So yes, the institutional knowledge is there. He has been with the team recently. He was a technical advisor to the last technical team that was there. He was literally part of the last World Cup that we went to. So yes, Chris Hughton know the Black Star job better than maybe Steve McLaren or Cooper as it stands now. But then again, if you look at the profile of these managers, Chris Hughton also is ranked among some of the best managers who have coached in the English Premier League and even in the Championship in recent times, in his days at Brighton and of course Newcastle. He has shown that he is able to get short-term success for teams with his very good defensive solidity. And I think that's what cuts across all these three managers, McLaren, Hector Cooper, and then of course Chris Hughton. All of them are hugely defensive. As it stands now, we do not have a lot of time to build a team for the long term. We have enough quality to be able to build a short-term team to hide our priorities as it stands now, to qualify for the next AFCON, and then to make sure that we move up in terms of the Coca-Cola FIFA ranking. So yes, apart from Chris Hughton's qualities as a manager, he has also been with the team and knows virtually everything the in and out of the team as it stands now.
Well, let's zero in on Hector Cooper a little bit. Now, this is someone who's also played the game before. He's coached in different football markets, including Spain and Italy. And He's gone to the, the final of the Africa Cup of Nations, finished in second place and all of that. I mean, in terms of understanding the modern game and understanding, some of our players and those especially who ply their trade in all of these markets that he's used to, someone may also say that he probably stands tall amongst the three.
Yes, I agree. I mean, across all the three managers, all of them are hugely experienced. Their track record do speak for themselves. So yes, Hector Cooper is somebody who has the know-how. He has been there before on African terrain. He has been, like you said, in Europe as well. So he knows what he's doing. My problem, however, with somebody like Hector Cooper is, when was the last time Hector Cooper was in charge of a senior team? And is he abreast with the modern ways of coaching a team as it stands now? Our team relatively is a younger team. Does he have the know-how to be able to manage this team as it stands now? That is where I may have an issue with somebody like Hector Cooper. When it comes to the ability-wise, he's a top-notch coach. He knows his job. He has done it at the highest level, and he knows exactly what he's doing. But then again, I am thinking about the fact that the game keeps on evolving. If you look at most of the managers across the best teams in the world, these are managers that have been at the helm for a while now. So whilst the game evolves, they are there to have the recent know-how, the recent knowledge to be able to impact the knowledge on their players to get a result. So if you're not even go back, Aliou Cisse has been at Senegal for a very long time, and then he has done fresher courses upon fresher courses for a while now. I don't know the last time Hector Cooper was at the helm for any top job all over the world. So that is where our issues may come in. Why I think I will lean towards a certain Chris Hughton is the fact that he has been with the Black Stars job a while ago. He knows what the analysts, all the teams, all the members of the technical team had given him in terms of reports. He can use that to build a team in a short term. Bringing in a Hector Cooper, bringing in a McLaren, would have to start the job over again, brief them, get them through the process for our most recent qualification game in March. So, I mean, they are top people in a job, but then again, I think other factors would have to be considered.
Well, let's go to McLaren. And for you, what will be one of his strongest, traits or his biggest advantages going into this three-man race?
I think that if you look at McLaren, he's probably the most experienced of all the managers. He has also had stints in the English Premier League, like Chris Hughton. He's an English, so he also knows how he was going to play. And I think that one thing I said earlier on that cuts across all of these three managers is how they prioritize defensive solidity. And if you look at our quest at the last AFCON and at the World Cup, we lacked that solidity at the back. We lacked that cohesion in the players to be able to form a compact unit with and without the ball in the rest defense or not. So McLaren can give us that. He has experience of some of the young players that have gone through the ranks in England and all of that. So with our relatively young squad, he can mentor them and guide them to make sure that they get exactly what he wants them to get on the field of play, and then they will deliver. Like I said, experience is something that he has in abundance. But really, has he been on the job in recent times to be able to know exactly what our team needs to deliver in March to qualify for the next AFCON and possibly take us all the way in the AFCON?
All right, so the tight corner, to wrap it all up, Fifi, who would you place a finger on to take this job of the three if you had that one decision to make?
I think that if you look at all three managers, I think that I'm leaning towards a certain Chris Hughton, because for me, he has been with the team. Like you said, he knows the in and out of the team. Yes, somebody will argue and say, you know what, he was part of the last team's failing. He was part of the team that did not do well at the World Cup. But then if he is there as an advisor, there's an end where his voice do end. So if you are giving him the job as the main coach, then maybe he'll see this time he's the main boss and he can dictate the pace and how things are done in the Black Stars team. Again, I think that he has a Ghanaian lineage, and if for nothing, he will understand how we do our things as Ghanaians, because I think in our setting, that is also very, very important. Also, he's the most recent to have been out of a top job, and he knows exactly what the boys need. He has been with the boys, he knows them. Once we think that his methods are okay, and I think that whoever becomes the next Black Stars coach, their methods should be subjected to what recent football knowledge is, because I think the game keeps on evolving. If you have been out of job for a while now, you may not be well equipped to do the job, regardless of your experience that we have. So once he passed that test, maybe Chris Hughton should be our man.
Fifi, thank you so much for the analysis. We're grateful. Fifi Manfred is with Insura Sports in our Ashanti Regional Operation, and he's been taking us into what we would get if we take either coach for this position. Let's remain on football, and the Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, Evans Bobie Opoku, is urging the Black Galaxies to beat Sudan in their next game at the ongoing Championship of African Nations CHAN. Now, the Black Galaxies suffered a shocking 2-1 defeat at the hands of Madagascar in the opening game of the competition. Now, the defeat has given Ghana an uphill task of beating Sudan on Thursday for a place in the next round. In a meeting at the team's base in Constantine, the Deputy Minister assured the players that the entire country is backing them ahead of their next game, and all arrears owed them will be settled.
Just to encourage you that the nation is so behind you. The whole country believe that you can make it. And then I have just been told that the checks that I promise you are with the FA office now. The accountant has delivered all the checks. Again, the outstanding per diem, as I speak to you, is also ready. So in terms of motivation and what have you, like I said, the president has ordered that the ministry should do everything possible to make sure that what is due you is paid. Going into the finance game, hopefully Thursday, the strong belief and conviction that you will make it. You will make it. The officials here, the FA president, his team, myself and board chairman, we are behind you in prayers and everything. So don't be down. Be encouraged. At least you have the opportunity to correct what happens to us in Qatar. You have that opportunity. I just want you to put that behind your minds. You have that opportunity to correct that. The nation has a maximum confidence in you. What happens last Sunday is just a mistake. And in life, day in and day out, all of us keep on making mistakes. So come Thursday, what is our going for? And I believe that all of you, you are ready to go to the pitch to deliver on Thursday.
Well, let's tell you about CHAN host Algeria, who booked their slot in the knockout phase of the Championship of African Nations following their victory last night. The host nation earned a spot after beating Ethiopia by 1-0 in the second Group A match before the tournament, 1-0. Mozambique also eliminated Libya with a 3-2 win. Let's go for the highlights.
Good break into that danger area here. Fasil spills it. And just for a moment, Algerians were on their feet in expectation. Now Kindusi might try a shot. It's a powerful shot. It's spilled as well, but Fasil is able to scramble and claim possession just ahead of the charging Mahius. Delivery in here, Kindusi, it's a header on target, it's powerful, but Fasil denies Algeria an opening goal in added time. Referee signals the end of an opening half that yields no goals. Algeria and Ethiopia. Mizian sends it in, it's landed kindly, and a shot that is spilled by goalkeeper Fasil. And Ayman Mahius has not only given Algeria the lead, he becomes the CHAN team's all-time leading scorer. He passes the great Hilal Sudani with his 6th goal for the A-team, but his so important goal in the context of this match. Algeria, that was another one of the aspects that Martins wants his side to change. Munir, lovely delivery in, deflected in, an own goal. Chico concedes, Mozambique concede, and Libya take the lead in rather fortuitous fashion here at Nelson Mandela Stadium. For the defender, Chico. Nearly finding a way backward. Beak again continued their runs into danger areas. They were building in confidence.
تسجيل اللاعب رقم 9 by player number 9 ميكي أليكس.
Well, let's go to Europe, where Felix Afena-Jan was the star of the night as Cremonese knocked out Napoli from the Coppa Italia. And the 19-year-old came from the bench in the 65th minute to score the equalizer, taking the game to extra time before scoring the eventual winner during the penalty shootout. In tennis, British #1 Emma Raducanu is out of the Australian Open after losing in straight sets. We've got the action for you.
It is paying dividends for Goff, swinging out on those last couple of shots.
Much of an issue, and that she didn't have too much swelling, which was the main positive.
And there you go, that was the aggressive, combative Coco Gauff. Great way to close out the set. Lovely play, Laura's got the angle just right there. Lots of perfection. Such a smart play from Goff. And absolutely pounced. We're seeing a high level of tennis from both players. Still in it, but still facing match point. She tried something different, it worked. That's what it means to Coco Gauff.
Is Coco Gauff able to build up on this to win? Big question indeed, and those conversations will continue on our social media handles. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow to bring you another Sports Today. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.
We went to a pen.
It's getting hot in here, so let's save some energy. A look at how one innovative club in Scotland reuses body heat. We'll have more on that at the top of the show. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Euromax. With me, your host, Megan Lee. Here's a look at what else we've got coming up. Will the French eat croissants made without butter? We find out in Paris. And a tour of an incredible, one-of-a-kind motorcycle collection in Germany. When you go dancing, it often helps to wear something light because it can get pretty hot in the clubs. But why should all that heat go to waste? Well, one club in Glasgow, Scotland, is harnessing the heat produced from dancing bodies for use at other times. This body heat invention is yet another way scientists are looking for cleaner energy sources, and it's giving Glasgow's dance goers even more reason to cut loose.
Here, clubbers help save the environment, one dance move at a time. The SWG3 Club in Glasgow stores partygoers' body heat for reuse, because these days people want things to be more sustainable, even going out.
It makes you feel good, like when you can contribute to helping like the environment and stuff, but you're also doing something you love, like in the process, like clubbing.
The planet is a gift to us. We're not a gift to the planet, and that's what people need to remember.
It needs to be a part of that.
Yeah, it has to. You know, we'll be raving in our 70s if the planet isn't on fire. So
Yeah.
This system is called body heat, and it turns dance floors into mini power plants. Each person provides some 150 to 450 watts. And since 2022, the club has been using that energy throughout its venue, even during the day. The aim is to cut fossil fuel use to zero.
We're trying to capture and harness the energy created by heat in gigs or clubs, and we're trying to store that and use that to heat and cool spaces around the venue, either at that time or at a later time. And we're doing that so that we can reduce our energy footprint, our electricity consumption, and then remove gas completely from the venue.
Ventilators on the ceiling absorb the warm air from the 3 dance floors. Heat pumps then convey the energy into the yard using a carrier fluid. There, it's stored in 200-meter deep holes to be reused during the day. The innovative system is one of a kind. David Townsend is an entrepreneur in the energy sector, and he spent 3 years developing it.
The heat comes from the boxes in the ceiling all the way to the boreholes in, a minute or less. But the amount of time you can store the heat in the rock is very flexible. So we can put heat in there during the night and take it out during the day, but we can also put lots of heat in there during the summer and take it out in the winter. So we can do multiple different lengths of storage.
But how much CO2 does the system cut? And is it really sustainable?
So heat pumps operate really efficiently. And so you only need a little bit of electrical energy to do a lot of heating, and equally on the cooling side. So by removing the gas boilers from the heating system, we're saving 70 tons of CO2 per year. So the electricity comes from the grid, but the venue has signed up to 100% renewable energy electricity tariff. So the electricity is all coming from renewable sources, which means in Scotland, especially on a rainy day like this, it's coming from wind energy.
With a price tag of 700,000 euros, installing body heat isn't cheap, but other clubs are still looking to follow suit.
Sustainability is really important to everyone just now, and for the sustainability of the industry, people really need to be looking at how they can survive in the future. We need to reduce, we need to go forward with this. So the beautiful thing about body heat is it invites the customer into that, and they don't need to do anything different. They need to show up and they need to dance and have fun, and they're actively contributing to the reduction of energy in those environments.
This club in Scotland is paving the way and showing that protecting the environment can be a lot of fun. Here, excess is good. The wilder the dancing, the more it helps the planet.
Well, another way to protect the environment is to cut down on consuming meat and dairy products. Vegan diets are becoming popular in many big cities throughout Europe, with one notable exception: France. There, less than 1% of the population is vegan. The French simply cannot do without their dairy, especially butter. And it is the key ingredient to the beloved croissant. Well, we went to a vegan bakery in Paris to see if the French would accept a butterless alternative to this national favorite.
Can a vegan croissant without butter win over the French? No butter? No. No, I don't want a life without butter. That surprises me. Paris's first vegan pastry chef, Bérénice Lecomte, takes on the croissant challenge.
I bet vegan croissants can match normal ones.
But did she place her bet without considering French butter fans? With 8 kilograms per capita per year, they're the world champions in butter consumption. That's part of our culture. We love butter.
A must-have in French cuisine.
Butter's French, just like the baguette. I have butter with everything. With rice, with pasta, we put butter in everything. The ingredients are the same as in the original in Bérénice Lecomte's vegan recipe. Except instead of butter, she takes vegetable oil and soy drink instead of cow's milk. The croissant is considered the supreme discipline among vegan baked goods.
The taste of butter is unique and difficult to replace, and the vegetable oil makes the pastry dry out more quickly. So you have to adjust the moisture in the yeast dough accordingly.
When the dough is rolled out, the star of the show is usually butter. Bérénice Lecomte takes margarine instead. Thinly rolled out, it's placed between the dough. The dough is folded over and over again and then rolled out. And this is how puff pastry is made.
To get even croissants, we use a croissant cutter. You don't learn that in training, but it just is faster.
The classic croissant shape, however, is still done by hand. And into the oven they go. Let's see whether the vegan version can convince the butter connoisseurs in Paris. Bérénice Lecomte opened her store in 2017. It was France's first vegan pastry store at the time. She wants to appeal to as many people as possible.
People who are happily vegan may still miss croissants. Children with an egg allergy can discover pastries with us. Sometimes people throw their arms around me because they haven't had pastries in so long. And we have them with no dairy and no eggs.
Modified classics are on offer here. Macarons with meringue made from chickpea water instead of beaten egg whites. Or lemon tarts with turmeric instead of egg yolk for color.
What attracts me to vegan baking is the challenge. When we opened 5 years ago, there was almost nothing. Now there are innovative methods and new vegan products. The challenge is to keep the recipes evolving.
Speaking of a challenge, the croissants are ready. Butter versus no butter. Which one's better?
This is good. This is better.
It's less doughy and crispier. I prefer this one. This is better. Can we finish them? The result, 5-5. What does the pastry chef say?
50-50. Wow, I'm relatively happy with that.
So it's a draw. Perhaps the French are less butter crazy than they themselves believe.
Just as the French love their croissants, the Polish have their favorite dishes. And in the capital, Warsaw, there are a number of places to indulge in these delicacies, as well as discover off-the-beaten-track, unusual sights. Travel vlogger Eva Zubek knows Warsaw like the back of her hand since she was born and raised there. She gave us some insider tips for visiting the city.
Hi everybody and welcome to Warsaw, the capital of Poland. I'm super excited to be showing you around today because this was once my hometown. Now I want you to do one quick little thing for me. If you have any preconceived notions of what Warsaw might be like, I want you to take them and check them out, because today what I'm going to show you is a slightly alternative side of the city. During the Second World War, the entire city was pretty much razed to the ground. It was bombed into oblivion. It basically ceased to exist. None of these buildings actually survived the war. So none of these buildings are the original beautiful 19th century townhouses that you imagine them to be. Poland was under a communist dictatorship after the Second World War and until 1989. Now, I was born after the fall of communism, but the irony is not lost on me that the Museum of Polish Communism is located right above an American fast food joint. All right, let's go and check it out. To a Polish person, this is an actual apartment. My grandma had an apartment just like this one. And there's one thing I want to show you, which is the classic of Polish communist decoration, the glass fish. Every single grandmother in Poland has one of these, I can guarantee. You know, the amazing thing is that, again, I recognize all these products. After the fall of communism, these things didn't just magically disappear. You know, most people would have kept them in their homes. So I remember as a kid using this very perfume. I remember using this perfume called the Green Apple.
Milk bars still exist in Poland, and that's where you'd go to find cheap, traditional Polish food.
This is the classic of Polish cuisine. The dish that is the greatest of all comfort foods in Poland. The dish that you would make with your mom or your grandma at Christmas. If you've never had pierogi, you're not Polish. So, pierogis are basically dumplings, and they come with all sorts of fillings on the inside. Some of the most popular ones are these, ruskie pierogi. The filling is potato, cottage cheese, and onion, and of course you sprinkle some fried onions on top, and ideally add a little bit of cream. And then you just bite in and enjoy the process.
Here in the grungy neighborhood of Praga, residential courtyards hide a fascinating secret. Many of them are home to these tiny chapels or shrines.
Check out this chapel right behind me. It's so beautiful, and it just stands here, so majestic in the middle of this kind of grungy, dilapidated neighborhood.
During the Second World War, when going to church was just too dangerous, some of Warsaw's religious residents decided to build neighborhood chapels like these, so that people would have a place to pray in without straying too far from home. Over 100 of these chapels survive to this day.
I I have a map of Warsaw's street art here, and it's really cool actually because it can lead you to spots like this. There's a giant piece of street art, a beautiful mural right behind me, but it's kind of hidden behind the buildings of one of Warsaw's main arteries. You'd never find it without a map like this. And it's actually quite amazing because it's a real piece of street art. This here is one of the most popular, iconic spots in Warsaw to get donuts. There's always a line. There's a line today, but I assure you, it's worth the wait. It's warm and fluffy and soft. Check this out. So, what we've got here is just a beautiful piece of bakery. Icing sugar on top, but inside, that's where you find the real jam. So traditional Polish donuts are made with rose jam. Not raspberry jam, not strawberry jam, rose jam. That's the real deal. You ready? I don't know if I'm ready. I'm ready.
So this is Warsaw. With so much history and character and a drive to always reinvent itself, it might just be the most fascinating city in Poland.
Motorcycle enthusiasts will tell you that there is nothing more exhilarating than cruising down a long country road with the wind blowing through your hair. It just never gets boring. And that is certainly the case for Jürgen Röder, who has taken his passion for motorcycles to a whole new level. He's collected over 200 of them, most of them antique and with a story to tell.
This motorcycle is 104 years old. With hard work and axle grease, Jürgen Röder keeps it running, even though hardly any parts are still available. Historical bikes are the former German business owner's great passion. He has the most fun when he can drive without a helmet, the way bikers used to.
It's this boundless freedom that you seem to feel. It's beautiful to take time and enjoy nature, especially on such an old motorcycle.
Jürgen Röder also enjoys taking a seat in the sidecar and letting his mechanic drive.
The feeling that comes over you is absolute enthusiasm. The very first time I ever drove such a vintage bike with a sidecar was the spark that made me say, okay, I'm going to buy an old bike like this. And then gradually, it grew into this collector's mania.
In 3 halls totaling over 2,000 square meters in Odenwald, Hessen, Jürgen Röder keeps more than 200 motorcycles from several eras. With no shortage of dedication, he makes sure each and every one of them stays roadworthy. His collection, valued at no less than 7 figures, is one of a kind.
It's an addiction that doesn't afflict your health so much as your wallet. But yes, it's an addiction, and it's a passion. And the joy of collecting is that not everything always works right away. But then your joy is all the greater when it eventually all comes together nicely.
This 1912 Harley-Davidson is one of his favorite bikes. It once belonged to American movie star Steve McQueen.
Apparently, Steve McQueen had a fascination with the color red and painted the entire motorcycle red. In loving attention to detail, we carefully removed the paint and brought out the original patina.
This 1903 Indian is likely the only one still in existence in Europe. Next to it stands another rarity, the oldest motorcycle to be made by BMW.
This here is the origin of BMW motorcycles, the R32 that BMW built in 1923.
The pride of his collection can be found in the hall for sidecar motorcycles. Many of the bikes on display here have long been out of production. At one time, sidecars were used for every conceivable purpose, even transporting prisoners.
My ambition is to try to bring forgotten vehicles back into the spotlight.
Jürgen Röder also rolls out his rare sidecar machines at races and festivals that he organizes himself. Some are a good century old or more. And he has plans to re-establish sidecars in motorsports. His latest treasure also comes from motorsports, a unique set of wheels built by German racer Günther Michel in the 1980s.
I have to like it first. This one here is technically incredibly innovative. In the end, this combination of factors makes for an emotional value. You can discuss the price, but not with me. I hope the day will never come when I'm forced to sell it. That would really be painful.
First, he gives a new addition to his collection a thorough checkup and then takes it out for a spin.
It's the kind of excitement and joy a child feels when a new toy arrives. You know it's coming, and you can hardly wait till it's there. I can hardly wait to start it up, to hear it rattling away and inhale the fumes. That's the smell of a vintage motorbike.
For most of his classic bikes, Jürgen Röder has a driving permit limited to test drives. And as long as he can afford it, he'll carry on collecting and driving vintage and classic bikes that might otherwise gather dust in a museum.
A few ice cubes in a glass might seem simple enough, but what do you do if you need a big block of ice? That's where an ice vendor from Norway can come in handy. Thomas Ilderud harvests crystal clear ice from a frozen lake, a tradition left over from a time before refrigerators. And Thomas knows exactly how to break the ice for his customers.
This is Thomas Ilderud. You could call him an ice-cold Norwegian businessman. He sells frozen water to build ice hotels or to carve wintry sculptures. And he has a special relationship with ice that doesn't leave him cold.
It melts in the summertime, it melts when it gets hot, it melts if you bring it inside. As a business point of view, it's very good because if the customer is happy for what they got and want to have it again, they always have to buy over and over again because it melts and go back to the nature as water.
Norway has vast landscapes, clean water, and harsh winters. So the raw material he needs is right at his doorstep.
We are on the lake very close to my ice farm, just 1 hour east of Oslo. And in this area it's normally not so much snow, but it's still normally cold, so it gives clear and good ice quality.
After nature has taken its course, he brings in the big guns. He saws the ice into even-sized blocks. The 40-meter thick layer of ice can even bear the weight of heavy equipment. Using his tractor, he cuts long, even tracks in the frozen lake. He must not lose any time, but the blocks of ice freeze again quickly.
The biggest challenge is to stay on the ice and not under the ice. Or I will say it's important to try to have 90 degrees angles every cut, because then it's easier when you use it later. We don't know if you're going to build a big ice wall or stack a big pile of ice to make a big ice sculpture.
Ice sculptures and hotels may be relatively new, but ice harvesting dates back centuries. The industrial age led to a boom in the sector. Norway remained a top exporter of ice right up to the 1960s, and companies and private households weren't the only ones buying.
They had some high-quality ice as well at that time, and that's a little bit the same market as we are selling to, for example, the high-end cocktail bars. In London, they also bought that for the castle and the royalties. They had it, and it should be so clear that you can read the newspaper through a very big ice block.
Nowadays, the ice's transparency is especially important. Each block weighs around a ton. With the right quality, a block sells for about 700 euros, and it can be shipped worldwide if necessary. The blocks are used to carve intricate patterns or massive structures made of snow and ice, like this ice hotel in Sweden. Here, everything is made of ice, from the reception to the bar in the rooms. And even the artworks are made of ice.
One thing I maybe never get used to it, that it's so strong. It can carry a lot of weight, and it's also soft.
He stores some 400 to 500 tons of ice on his ice farm. An order could come in any time. Sometimes his expertise is also called for. He's already supplied ice to major Hollywood film productions.
It's a lot of different things that I never had ability to see if I hadn't been working with snow and ice. So that's the best part of it. But personally, I think I'm more happy when I'm on a beach with 30 degrees sunshine burning over my head instead of stay in the shadows and minus 10 or minus 20 or minus 30 degrees.
Sounds like great vacation plans, as long as he doesn't have to put them on ice to take on more exciting jobs in the cold.
And with that, we come to the end of the show. Be sure to check out our website for this week's Viewers Draw and a chance at receiving some items from our DW Uncensored collection with instructions on how to access censored media around the world. As always, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.
This voice speaks a lot of volume to me personally, because I feel like my forefather or my own father was killed here, and it's like a child who didn't meet his father, but you come and you hear that this is where your father was slaughtered, you understand, or your father was killed. So anytime we come here, we feel like this is the home of our ancestors. Here was the center where the plot to capture Otumfuo was initiated, and here was the center where he was captured.
Hello there, you're watching the polls on the JoyNews channel. Coming up this afternoon, a final chance for investors as the Ministry of Finance engages aggrieved individual bondholders who want to be exempt from government's debt exchange program. Will the government yield to the increasing pressure or push through this cost-sharing measure?
What are we saying? We are saying that we have a situation where debt exchange is necessary.
We'll get you the very latest from the Finance Ministry, where that meeting is underway. Plus, hear from former Deputy Minister for Finance, Mona Kote, who's my guest here on the polls. Also, a hike in electricity tariff is forcing many traders at the KJTM market in the Ashanti region who are locking up their shops due to the hike in cost of electricity. The traders say the high cost of electricity is killing their businesses.
We are suffocating due to the rising cost of electricity that are being brought to traders in the market.
And we're also looking up to the National Democratic Congress's final phase of reorganization. The party is finally outdooring modalities for its parliamentary and presidential elections.
Shall be held on Saturday, the 13th of May, 2023.
You might want to wait for the details, as anyone seeking to run for president would have to cop up as much as 500,000 Ghana cedis. We'll get you the details of this latest modalities released by the leadership of the NDC. Welcome to the polls. I am Blessed Sugan. JoyNews is independent, fearless and credible. We're back with details shortly. Please stay. Well, this afternoon, we're talking about the debt exchange program. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has hinted of plans to modify government's policy on zero coupons for the 2023 financial year. The minister, in an exclusive interview on PM Express Business Edition, which airs tomorrow, revealed that although the debt exchange program is inevitable, government will make a U-turn, possibly on the payment of zero interest payment on returns. Listen to excerpts of that interview.
What are we saying? We are saying that we have a situation where debt exchange is necessary. We have a situation where we have come out of certain formulations and we have gone ahead to discuss with the financial institutions a way to mitigate that. I think we've done that successfully. In the same way we sat with the union pensions, and I think we are making great progress in what we do for them. In the same way in which we are looking at individual bondholders to see how we can tweak this. Would we lose a bit of what we have? I think all of us are going to, but we have to make sure that what we eventually come up with creates a sustainability. For example, a zero coupon for 2023. That has to change. So we'll look at that. And those are the modifications which then recognizes the need for fixed income for certain classes of our citizens that we intend to do. So George, once again, livelihoods must be protected as much as we can, and make sure that we also have a nation as a community that is also strong and robust for the future. So that's a balance that we have to do, and we'll do it successfully.
Well, that exclusive interview is on the JoyNews channel tomorrow at 9 p.m. You want to make a date. Let's bring you a breakdown of the implications for you as an individual bondholder. Here are excerpts. So in terms of that payment policy for the whole of 2023, government says it will not pay any much money in terms of return on investments for individual bondholders for the period of the 2023 financial year. But it will revise that policy, increase it to 5% by 2024. And then 2025 is the maturity period where government is seeking to pay some 10%. In terms of the anticipated debt reduction, as part of the International Monetary Fund's condition, the whole target is to clear a debt of 137 billion which will be done in terms of the bond exchange program. And then that may be cutting our cost in terms of public debt by some 30% and moving us all the way to some threshold of 70.02% of the total domestic debts as of September 2020. So that's the base rate at which we're calculating that projection. But what promise is government making to the individual bondholders and by extension the citizenry? The indication is that treasury bills are completely exempt and all holders will be paid full value of their investments on maturity. That is being contended by the group as well. And government is also giving assurances that there will be no haircuts. As to whether or not that will be the case, well, in terms of definition, it's subject to controversy as well. But it's a firm assurance coming through from government, including the president himself, that we may not get a haircut on the principal of the bonds. And the final phase has got to do with the individual bondholders not being affected. We know that that third point is what is clearly not the case on the ground as we speak, and for which the finance minister is today engaging them, trying to adopt what he says is a burden sharing approach. So based on that last point not being fulfilled, there are projections that government may not stick to their promises in terms of the other two requirements. I want to bring in now Mona Quartey. She's a former Deputy Minister for Finance, understand what's happening to our economy as we speak, and has some thoughts on what's happening. Later on, we'll get in touch with Richard Kwame Frimpong, who's a financial analyst. Mona Quartey, welcome to The Pulse. It's such a pleasure to be speaking to you. Happy New Year. You would have to unmute as you make the point, but what do you see happening now that, of course, a crunch meeting is underway? The finance minister says some losses would have to be made on the part of government. What's your expectation as these negotiations begin?
Since I was on mute, let me greet you again. Happy New Year blessing, and to your viewers, good afternoon. Yeah, ahead of today's meeting, I know that most people are feeling very anxious, uncertain about what exactly will happen to their treasury bills and to their bonds. Yes, there's been talk of no haircuts on the principal. That is good enough. But I think most people bought these instruments as part of their treasury cash management, and it was to earn interest, because we all know that inflation is over 50%. Therefore, at least to earn some interest to keep part of the value of your investment. Therefore, when you're told that there's no haircut on principal, that's fine. But what about the cut on the interest? And as you just said, the Minister of Finance spoke about no interest in 2023, 5% in 2024, and 10% thereafter. That is nowhere near inflation. I mean, really doesn't maintain the value of the investment. So we hope that this afternoon the minister will speak to the issues and unpack them. Why is this happening? We know the greater goal of trying to reduce debt in order to go into an IMF program. We know it's about debt restructuring, and that is fine. But it is how it is done that is a big issue. How did we get to where we are in the first place, so that we all understand that as we are even burden sharing? Why do we individuals have to burden share? And at this point, with the way the government has communicated its plans to us in terms of domestic debt restructuring, we are all feeling that it's a big no to this debt restructuring as it is being proposed, without giving us a chance to also give our thoughts on how it could be better, a win-win for the debt restructuring and also for our investments as people. Economics is a social science. It's about people. Our cost of living is going up. February 1, we are going to see a hike in utility rates. We also have massive inflation. The value of our currency is not the same. It's gone down, it's depreciated. Therefore, as a people, we are struggling to live. Our standard of living has gone down. Our cost of living has gone up. So this afternoon's meeting with the Minister of Finance must unpack the issues and explain to us that in as much as we are trying to reduce the debt burden of the nation, how will we, the people, survive under the current recommendations that they are making. People, number one, as I said, losing interest is going to be major for us. In terms of institutions, the banks, what is going to happen to those banks? We have our current accounts and some of our savings with those banks. If some of those banks go down because they don't meet the capital adequacy ratio, then there's a problem for us as people. Two, people as pensioners. What will happen to the pension funds? I mean, we hear they've been exempted. We hear that the banks may be exempted. We don't know yet. But those exemptions still will create cash flow management for the institutions and subsequently to us as individuals. So it's like we are hit on all sides. It's important that government consults with the people through institutions, through representatives, the MPs, through the banks, through the associations, through the trade union, and have a better way to resolve this issue. I don't think that the IMF is asking government to make its people miserable. It is asking government to do the things, do its homework in terms of expenditure rationalization. What signals are government sending to us when they say that we should burden share, but yet we don't see a cut in government expenditure? I mean, everyone has been talking about this, finance and non-finance people. It is simple. Cut government expenditure, starting from Jubilee House all the way down to the ministries, all political appointees, those who don't need to be there, rationalize and keep only those that you need. Come down to bare basics, and then you are signaling correctly, and then you can ask for burden sharing. I'm sure every Ghanaian wants to help Ghana to get back on its feet, but that can only be done if the right signals are sent to us. Not when you are taxing us some more without any growth, not when you are hiking our cost of living, and then now you're asking us to burden share. That is unfair. I believe, Blessing, that at this point, we have totally destroyed our culture of savings. Everyone knew that these were risk-free instruments, and government has all willy-nilly just gone out and started making unilateral decisions concerning these things.
And what I want us to do next will be to explore the alternatives, because the argument has been put forward that government is in a tight corner. We can't find any alternative aside what's happening now, which is the debt exchange program. But even before we do that, we're getting a sense of what may happen at the end of the day when the negotiations go through. The government will indeed revise its policy on the zero coupons for 2023. If government pushes through the approach on individual bondholders, at least this is some respite, isn't it?
Blessing, this piecemeal approach to resolving the issue of debt restructuring is very worrying. It tells us that the Ministry of Finance and the government as a whole don't know what they are doing. And that is serious, because that makes us all anxious. These are people who were elected and then appointed into office and are being compensated to do this job. And yet, on a daily basis, they keep making U-turns and, struggling to come up with any consistent policy on this debt restructuring. The alternative, which we have said over and over again for almost 2 years now, is expenditure control and rationalization by the government. This government has shown that they spend recklessly, they borrow recklessly, and they don't keep accounts of government revenue and expenditure. They have bypassed the gift miss system several times. I mean, we all know that there's been essential at some point, essential for motion to remove the minister, all because of these things. The first and foremost signal is for government to rationalize government expenditure. That will send the right signals. Then people can come to the table to discuss alternatives. But when we don't see that, what are we bringing alternatives for? It means we are bringing alternatives to people who will not even listen. People who really don't care, but just want to place the burden on us. So that is not acceptable. Now, this U-turn on interest for this year will not really help, honestly, because you are hiking the cost of living through hike rates for utilities and so forth. You are also taxing people more. You are talking about property taxes and so forth. These are all not bad things in good times, But unfortunately, we are all in bad times. The government can therefore not burden share at this time. They are going to have to discuss what the real issues are with both individuals and institutions, CSOs, banks, pension funds, everyone actually, and then come up with a plan that is acceptable to all. This is what we are saying. We are saying come up with a plan that is acceptable, but don't unilaterally try to come up with a plan, then almost every day make changes to it. You are succumbing to, just pressure from everyone who is suffering. And that is an indication that your plan is not good. So therefore, come out with a better plan that can be better discussed.
We're all looking for the solutions. So you may be of help at this moment. The argument we've heard from your side and by extension from those who belong to the NDC is cut the cost. But many say a lot of water has gone under the bridge. We're looking for solutions now. We're in a tight corner as a nation. So where do we start from, aside the cost-cutting measures?
We start from engaging everyone. And that is why even the MPs in opposition, as it were, the opposition party, the NDC, have decided that they will go on a road show and explain what is going on. Now, this is what happens when government does not explain properly what is going on. Therefore, the opposition will do its work for it. So the first step is to explain to everyone what is really going on and why we need this debt restructuring. At that point, people will be more open to being able to burden share with government. But the first thing is the signal from government that they are cutting expenditure. And then we can all come together as a nation and try to burden share.
What's the argument? What's the argument there? That the measures announced by the finance minister in the last budget, which will obviously take effect this year, is not sufficient. Is that the argument you're making? We've seen a directive. We've seen a directive on hampers. State-owned vehicles would not be moved within town if they are V8 engines. And a raft of measures being announced by the finance minister, including cutting flights or conferences in the public sector. These are huge items that drain the public purse. You agree? It's all being taken off as part of the austerity plan. So where do we cut further?
Let's look at the numbers. We are talking about a total of 137 billion Ghana cedis domestic debt. Okay, 60 billion of which is with the financial institutions in terms of bills and bonds. That is not going to be reduced by what you've just said as shown in the budget. It's going to need serious government expenditure cuts. And it will start with even administrative, the number of political appointees, the number of people working in the president's office, in Jubilee House, all the way into the ministries, even the Ministry of Finance, the number of people working there, the perks that they are collecting. Then to the kind of lower down costs that you just mentioned, travel and so forth. But even more so, if I recall, Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia had spoken about cutting corruption and be able to make so much money from cutting corruption. We haven't seen that happen. Perhaps this is a good time for that to start happening as well. I think if we are able to cut expenditure, reduce corruption, reduce the number of people on government payroll, we should be able to then burden share less than what is being expected now. And there has to be consistency in the debt restructuring policy that the minister is referring to. It's almost like every morning we wake up to a tweak or a change in the debt restructuring policy. There has to be some consistency. Ghanaians are suffering at this time, and government needs to factor that into what plan they eventually come out with.
At least government is desperate now. They need the funds. They need the IMF program. What do you see happening to that policy if we suffer a setback in the debt exchange program? Do you see the IMF cash arriving in the first quarter of this year as projected by government?
I don't see that happening. Blessing. First and foremost, we must pass the debt sustainability assessment. I don't even see this debt restructuring being done by the end of first quarter 2023. That is not going to happen. What we need to do is to spend time to resolve these issues properly. There is no rush to come up with a solution that will fail. Let us rather spend time on coming up with a solution that will be sustainable and that will last and that will not hurt our people. What is governance about? Governance is about making sure that our people live fairly well, have a decent standard of living, and are not, under stress. Therefore, it is important that we look at this whole debt restructuring properly, and there must be consensus. This can only be done through proper engagement. The ministry and the government, for that matter, cannot make such decisions for all of us. As for the IMF, you must pass in order for them to help you. So how do we pass? That is the question we must ask ourselves, not start to push debt restructuring in the current form down our throats. It won't.
Yeah, and we're already turning to unconventional, I'm using that word, international lenders. We're learning that, for instance, government is seeking to turn to China as part of the solution. Negotiations are underway. We're not too clear about the details. But what would that mean to, our long-standing relations with the West and how they've funded our activities? Now turning to China may pose some new risks to us, isn't it?
Blessing, let's get serious about where we borrow from. Borrowing from the West is based on risk-reward profile. The riskier you are, the higher your interest rate. And then you get into the debt distress that we are in now. And as for them, they are also not a charity and they are not given free money. China is also not a charity and given free money. They will also price the money that they will give to you. It boils down to negotiations. I don't think at this point we should be discriminating where we get funds from, but we should be looking at negotiating these funds properly. If you recall, we borrowed money from China to build the Ghana gas plant, and that has worked very well. We intended borrowing 3 billion. We ended up borrowing only half of that. Borrow what you need and negotiate the price. If you can get funding at a good cost from China, so be it. And also check your terms. Make sure that your terms are good for you as a nation, not for the lender, but for you as the borrower, and see if that will work. But I think even before we go borrowing, first of all, we need to clean up our balance sheet, number one, as the IMF has asked us to do. We need to manage our expenditure properly, cut our coat according to our size, and we need to allocate resources to our people properly. Because up until now, all we've seen is allocation of resources to areas that are not priority for our growth, for our development. Okay. Our government has failed us in that area. And I don't think that they should even be going to negotiate any further loans for us. They failed miserably.
Mona, we have just a minute to go. If someone walks up to you, an individual bondholder asking you, well, I'm confused. What do I do at this moment? What message do you have for such a person?
My message is simple. Don't agree to exchange your current terms with the terms that are being offered now. First of all, those terms are even fluid. They keep changing every day, so they are unknown. Don't make a change for what you know for what you don't know. And Blessing, even as I say that, I ask the government to be careful in how they restructure our debt, because the private sector, which clearly is the engine of our nation's growth, is going to suffer massively. People are going to lose their money, their capital. They will not be able to do their business. They will not be able to pay their workers. And we are going to have a further meltdown from where we are now. So please, Mr. Minister of Finance, think carefully, engage, consult, and come up with a plan which will definitely involve some burden sharing that is acceptable to all of us. We all want better Ghana.
Right. The conversation is just starting. Monakote, I'm grateful for your time here on The Pulse. We'll meet once more and dialogue about this as it unfolds. Thank you. But as we speak, a crunch meeting is underway at the Ministry of Finance, where leadership of the aggrieved individual bondholders are holding talks with government over the intention to include their bonds in the ongoing debt exchange program. Leadership of the bondholders say their ultimate aim today is to convince government to back down on that decision, but sources close to government indicate that a burden-sharing approach is what government is looking for. That's inevitable, according to the finance minister. So let's get a sense of what's happening now at the Ministry of Finance. My colleague Richard Kojonyako is there monitoring all of the events. Richard, what can you report as we speak? Are all parties moving into that crunch meeting? Hopeful that there'll be a deal at the end of the day.
So, Blessed, we are currently at the Finance Ministry and we are hoping that the bondholders will emerge and then they will begin the negotiations or the meeting with government officials. Currently, we just saw Martin Pebu at the council for these individual bondholders. And so we are hoping upon hope that we'll get these people here. We are told that they went to meet the Catholic Bishops' Conference, and so they are on their way to this place. But before they come in, my colleague Kofi J of Joy Research has joined me. So, Kofi, first of all, tell us about our current data position, currently as a country.
Well, I think we have to look at the genesis of this whole problem, why a restructuring looks inevitable at the moment. If you look at us as a country, we have a debt position somewhere around over 480 billion Ghana cedis. If you convert it to dollars, it's a little bit over, $40 billion. $40 billion. And so you ask yourself, is this debt position sustainable? And that was the exercise that the finance ministry did, and the finance minister gave the update when he read the 2023 budget, that if you look at our debt levels, we are at high risks of debt distress. Our debt levels are unsustainable. But there is a question, or there's a condition in the IMF, this whole program that we are seeking to get from the IMF, there's a condition that we have to meet. So unlike our 15th IMF program that we went to and we got somewhere around $980 million. This time around, we find our debt levels unsustainable. So we have to take steps to restructure our debt before we can get the IMF deal. And so that's why government is currently, finding ways and means to make sure they bring down the debt level, the debt to GDP ratio, which is more currently at over 70%. They want to bring it down to 50%. If you wanted to bring it down to 50%, then there's definitely two things you can do. It's either you increase your GDP overnight, or find ways and means to slash your debt level so that at a point you have a debt to GDP ratio which the IMF will look at it and say it is sustainable. Now we can give you the $3 billion bailout package.
Could you, Kofi, let's break it down. If you are part of these individual bondholders, why is the restructuring inevitable?
Well, at this moment, if you look at the memorandum that the finance ministry released, it looks as if it's a take it or leave it situation. You do not have a choice as a bondholder. And if you look at the conditions that the finance ministry give, or the promise, first of all, it started with the
Wait, so you are telling me that as a bondholder, I do not have a choice at this moment?
At this moment, it looks as if it's a take it or leave it. You can leave it, but be ready to bear the consequences thereof. There's an opportunity cost that you have to bear. If you decide not to participate in this whole exercise, mind you that your bonds will look like worthless if the entire new process starts. Your bonds, your old bonds, which did not make it to this new invitation to exchange, if they do not make it to it, they will look as if they are useless. You can't trade it. I'm not sure you can even transfer it to another person. And bonds are not like, treasury bills that you can just walk to the bank and say, I'm withdrawing. You have to make sure that you sell it to another person or you transfer it to another person. And if you look at the conditions that this new deal will bring in, it means that if you subscribe to it, this year you're not going to get any interest. And possibly next year you're going to get 5%. There's going to be some 10% till maturity, 2027, 2033, 15 years, and 13 years and 15 years, if you look at it that way. And so if you're a bondholder currently, you are you're asking yourself a very big question. Am I going to lose all my investments? What happens to the assurance that the president gave us when he addressed the nation on October 2022, that there is not going to be any haircut? If you look at what is currently happening right now, it looks as if it's an indirect haircut for investors. Because if you tell me that I have my principal with you, I'm supposed to enjoy some interest payment, and you're not going to give me anything 2023, and then I'm also not going to get my principal this year, my money is subject to an invincible tax handle called inflation. So definitely I'm going to lose something on it. And government itself is anticipating that investors will lose. That is why they are promising them a 2% tender fee. Simply means that, Kojo, we anticipate that by the time that we'll give you your money, you may have lost something because of this exchange. So we are giving you 2% of your money as compensation. So we are anticipating that you lose, but we are giving you 2% to compensate you. So investors have been left in a dilemma. They do not know where to go. But just like we saw for the pension funds, they had a united front called organized labor. So it was very difficult for government to just impose a certain decision on them. Organized labor, they were very strict. They told government that take us out or be ready to bear the consequences.
Is there an indication that some of these pensioners who fought